with Robert Reese. With Robert Reese. Come and get them hot facts, with Robert Reese. Come and get them hot facts, with Robert Reese. Come and get them hot facts, with Robert Reese. Come and get them hot facts, with Robert Reese. Come and get them hot facts, with Robert Reese. Hot facts. Come and get them hot facts. Come and get them hot facts, with Robert Reese. Come and get them hot facts. Come and get them hot facts. Come and get them hot facts, with Robert Reese. Hot facts. Robert Reese. Hot facts. Hot facts. Robert Reese. Hot facts. Gig economy. Robert Reese. News channel. Gig economy. News channel. Hot facts with Robert Reese. Hot facts with Robert Reese. Hot facts, hot facts, hot facts. 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 Hey. With Robert Reese. Come and get them hot facts. Hot facts. Hot facts. Robert Reese. Gig economy. News channel. Hot facts with Robert Reese. Sit back, relax, and listen. Come on. Get these hot facts. K-Reese 007 for Hot Facts with Robert Reese. Thank you for tuning in. Hot facts, hot facts.
Woo! There it is. There it is. There it is. Woo! Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Man, it's been crazy. The news channel is doing a little bit of extra time because of what is going on. But it's a great thing. They're speaking about on Reddit. I went on Reddit myself today. I went on there and I was typing up things to see what was coming up. And if you are in the gig world, meaning that not even a content creator, you can be someone that does the job and you do it and then you watch. And on Reddit, they speak about a lot of things over there. There's another app and glitch that's been out for a year. The comment I saw was from a month ago, and it's up and active, and it seems like nobody else has said anything else about it. I'll explain what that one is also, which goes into the title of live here. And as you see, the thumbnail it says the Cheaters Club. Now, we all know that we had Glitchgate. We had all this other stuff. Excuse me. Let me rewind. There's people that are watching right now. You guys gotta, everybody else that knows, sit back. There's people that are watching right now and will watch a replay and they have not seen any of this. You're watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese. This is the official news channel of the gig economy. Right now, I'm driving. The DoorDash will be going up in just a little bit. To show you guys that days can be and hours can be great, and then they can be what they advertise, and some can be a little less than that. But outside of that, This is the official news channel of the gig economy. If it's real and factual and actual, it will appear here. There will be no submerging and hiding opinions on what it is. Some people might feel a certain way about different things and they want to go ahead and get a chance to speak out. This is Hot Facts with Robert Reese. You can go ahead and do that all right here. Okay. All right here. Available on all platforms. Every single platform, it's up there. Okay. Now, if you are new and you have been driving and you don't know what we're talking about, and I use the term glitchgate, go ahead. If you are brand new and you are watching this and you are a driver and someone told you to go ahead and check this dude out, uh, when you get a chance, make sure you just go to Google or go on your iPhone, hashtag glitchgate, just put Glitchgate and it'll fill you in. I'm not going to do all of that right now because I'm not. The videos are up there. You can go ahead and do your research like everybody else does. And that's what we do here on Hot Facts. I make sure that the people go out there and they do their due diligence, they do their research, and they come back to write their questions. They can come with their opinions after all of that. You never want to just be too quick to jump. You don't want to look like a chump. Okay. So now let's get back to what I was talking about. All right. And the Cheaters Club. Now, we all know, and I stopped here at Glitchgate. We have Glitchgate. And I'll fill you guys in with just this little bit here. Glitchgate is something similar to any other scandal that has the word gate at the end. Okay, that's the most simplest way I can break that down to you if you were watching. Here in the gig world, there has been a way for when you guys are, and this goes to regular viewers out there who don't know nothing about anything. When you guys are looking at advertisements, when you guys are mad at your job, you're mad at your supervisor, you're mad at your boss, you're mad at these people, and you're like, I want to quit. And then you have heard that people are making a lot of money doing delivery work. And then you said, well, maybe I should start doing it. Okay, I'm talking to you too. Sometimes those people that are actually telling you to drive have been doing something and they've been making a whole lot of money to make you feel like you should quit your W 2. But in all actuality, you should not have quit your W 2 because it would have suited you better. Okay. Glitchgate is something that happened where there was an exploitation of people out there trying to earn extra money because we all know that here in the US, we have inflation, we have taxes, we have cost of living changes and everything else like that. And there have been people out there that have said, I need to make some more money. And these people have been trying to figure out how can I make the money doing this job. And there have been several content creators who have been going out and showing their numbers on how much they are making and letting people see that, all you got to do is do it like this. And they have been bringing people into certain groups, certain multi-level marketing schemes and things like that. And it's actually had a lot of people literally shift sides and go to the opposite of what they were. I don't know where you were before, but it made you do something that was not what you were doing, and it ended up being a bad thing. Some of these people lost money because they were paying for these features. Okay, so what's up, Torp? Sam Lee, Matthew is in the building. What's up, you guys? Sorry it's a little bit late. Matthew loves the Hot Facts music right there. We know that they have been doing things to get this money and literally get these people who have been working hard. Torp, I'm about to get into that for you. They've been working hard and they said, man, you know what? If I can do what I did last week, I'll do it again. He tried it and came short. And that same person said, what can I do to get over the hump? And then they hear someone like Sin City, Sin City Deliveries. We all know Sin City is in Vegas. They say you commit the most sin in Vegas. Vegas is a money town. Sin City Deliveries, okay, went in. And if you have been hearing him speak, he has been saying and trying to use his tone of voice to try to make it seem like everything that he has done and what he did is a-okay. And here's his overall message. The overall message from me, and this is my opinion. Sin City, you can get mad all you want. I don't care. I am the news. I have to bring this out to the people. And if you really want to set the record straight so we can get some questions that need to be answered here for everybody else out there, I would love to do an interview because people you don't know, Sin City, I had him on. You can go back and check my lives. I let him introduce his pyramid and everything else like that. I'm going to get into that. But he did that, and I gave him the opportunity to say all the words he can before I had an opinion on him. And then I let time go by, and my opinion on what was then has happened now, and I put it all together. Okay. But Sin City, this is the official news channel of the gig world. You knew that when you came on the first time, and on that time you came in with Ron when you guys were good, and your whole crew. Your whole crew was up here on Hot Facts. Your whole crew was up here. It was a great live, 400 some views. It was a great live. All right. I got some questions, and I think I can ask the questions that everybody else wants the answers to. All right. I got a guest already. Here we go. Here we go. Let me see. Who is this? It's my man Torp. Yes. Yes. Hey, and on this right here, people, you got to respect my respect for the man Torp. There will be nobody else up here while Torp is on camera with Hot Facts. All right. Do you guys hear that? There will not be anybody else on camera with Hot Facts while Torp is on the screen and while he is live with me. Okay? I understand the man, and I understand where he's most comfortable. And I don't never want him to not be out of what he is himself. So and I will not mess that up at all. How you doing, Torp?
Aces and eights, brother. Aces and eights.
Aces and eights. Now I'm gonna get into this thing with the Cheaters Club. Is you guys see the names? You see the faces. You see Dashing Traders up there. You saw Flex up there. You saw Side Hustle Addict up there. You saw Richardson City Delivers up there. You saw Bud Soda up there. This is the only time when these guys are like, why would you? And they say this and joke on their own channels, but it's a reality now for you guys. You guys say, why would you ever compare me and put me and Bud Soda in the same category? He's part of the Cheaters Club, but nobody really cared to pay attention to him because he looks like he was pumping the gas on Talladega Nights. So no one pays attention to him. He also looks like Booger from Revenge of the Nerds. So no one pays attention to Bud Soda. All right. It is what it is. But this whole thing here, I'm going to take it into the Cheaters Club, and I'm going to start with Mr. Richard, Sin City Deliveries. And people, I put a video up the other day, and Mr. Flex was in his car, and he's been asking questions to people on his lounge about why I did the video. But Flex, none of them know because I'm the person that put the video out. So asking them makes no sense. So you just must be a little slow on some ends there. All right. Now, here it is, Mr. Flex. When me and the DoorDash Revolution were telling people, and Revolution was doing his studies in his market, and the drivers were having all the extra phones, and they were stealing orders. They were walking into restaurants and taking um like two handfuls of like 4 bags in each hand, and they were trying to figure out how are they getting those orders in if nobody else is getting those in. Okay, Richard, Sin City Deliveries. When you came on my channel and you clicked the link, what's up, Dad Dash? What's up, Dad Dash? Please, because I would love your opinion on this. Click the link; it's up there for you. Torp, is that okay if Dad Dash does it?
It's your show, brother. I love Dad Dash. He's good people.
All right, all right. No, no, no. I have to ask. I have to ask first, Torp. I ain't never gonna let nobody up here. If you say no, it's no. You feel you? If you feel me, I'm gonna
Yeah, I
ask
feel
you
it.
first.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
I'm gonna
that.
ask you first.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask you first.
Dad Dash is good people.
Dad Dash, if you can, go ahead and click this link. Now, when Sin City clicked my link and he came on up, he was speaking about the higher acceptance rate. He was using the terminology with the Hell Week and how they put all that stuff out there. And me myself, I already understood, like looking at it like an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. You can't out scheme me or tell me something I ain't seen before. So I let it all go up. The pyramid thing was actually just the DoorDash dispatch red system itself. He just put it in a pyramid thing and put numbers by it. All right. All that stuff went by. Here is where I knew when Sin City was different and he was not what he was supposed to be. He said, I can prove it to you guys. And I have it on my live there, people. He
I gotta
said,
kill my cam
I,
for a second, brother. I gotta kill
all
my
right,
cam
all
for.
right.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Yep, yep.
Just the cam.
He
Just the
said,
cam.
yeah, go ahead. He said, I have done the studies. He said, I have done everything with my boys, and Ron was there, and all of them were there. If I get an order, it's going to come back to him, and this, and that. And they were saying it as if your higher acceptance rate was what it is when you actually earn it. All right. But here is see, everybody makes a mistake. His mistake right here, Sin City Deliveries, was he said, I can prove it to you. And he said, let me show you the difference of the zones of being top dasher and then being someone that doesn't have it. So how would he be able to do that? Here is what Sin City Deliveries did, what Richard did on my own live. He had his phone and he said, hold up. He got another phone and he said, this is my brother's phone. His brother was nowhere around him. He said, this is my brother's phone. This is my phone. He said that he's done it, and these are the two phones that he uses. Now, his brother has an account by himself. Then Richard has an account by himself. All right. This is why Dashing Trader was also inside the thumbnail with Bud Soda. People that have multiple accounts, just like Side Hustle Addict. So people, just imagine this. They figure the glitch out. He's getting a little buzz, and he knows the glitch, and he's using it on his account. But he has full control of his brother's account, and he uses two phones. So now just think of this, people. Let's say you go to a restaurant, and you're watching the driver keep walking inside, and you sitting there like, why ain't I getting no orders? Why am I not getting no orders? You see him walk out with two hands full of food, right? You're like, how come I'm not getting that? Well, he used the glitch on both of them, and here's what they did to you guys also. They would think about the glitch in reverse now. All right, let me just screw your brains up. Think about the glitch in reverse. Let's say you are holding an order for a long time before it expires. You release it so it goes to the other phone. Okay? It holds it. It releases it, right? Then you send that off. Now somebody else will get the order. Then the new orders will go back to both phones that one person has. Now, what if that one driver with the two separate accounts using the glitch actually got a stack order on one and it was a stack order on the other one for the exact same restaurant? So now you can see how someone can walk out with 2 hands full of food. Now think about it though. If it's a stack order, think about how much money is on both of those combined. So if you think of each hand, let's say there's $20 in each hand. That's $40 without it being a large order. You don't need the large order program, and you're still making that money there. This is why it's called the Cheaters Club today. Now, Sin City, that was his mistake with Hot Facts by showing that he's using his brother's phone. That's how I knew that he was doing something secret. Okay? Here is what you guys don't know. The numbers he was telling you guys are the numbers he was using to combine both accounts and putting them out there. And you guys were like, well, damn, you making that money like that? It's drivers in Vegas that's like, how are you doing it? And we in Vegas in the whole money, in the money state. How are we not doing it? So he puts out the Discord and they're paying money. Richard, I would like to ask you, how many content creators who do DoorDash signed up for your Discord, and how many of them actually paid $40 to get that glitch and the other one that Ron was speaking about? That's what I would like to know, since you want to disclose everything. You're in the Cheaters Club. You did that back then. Dashing Trader people tells you guys in the videos they can deactivate me over and over and over again. I'll keep coming back, and he says and tells people you need at least 3 phones. Side Hustle Addict tells people I have 3 and 4 phones. Okay, they all do it. Bud Soda has been caught with 6 orders at one time on video using multiple phones. He's been caught. Okay, he's been caught. And then we got Mr. Flex. Mr. Flex was caught using a 3rd phone. I put him up there. Dad Dash is here. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring you up. Let me add the stream. Let me go ahead and do this.
Pedro just said, hey guys, I just wanted to interject. I didn't mean to cut off Dad Dash, but I just got a fucking invite from Pedro. He wants me to come on there with him and Hannibal tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Him and Hannibal. Oh, well, the new channel. The new channel they married. Yeah. I just got it.
Did Dad Dash go on there? Where is he at?
I'm here. I'm sorry.
Where did Dad Dash go? Let me see.
I don't even
know
what to do with that. I don't even know what to do with that. All they're gonna do is shut me up anyway. That's why lives don't impress me that much, because people just shut you up when they don't like what they hear. So,
well, yeah. Well, there he is. There's Dad Dash there.
Hey, bro, what's going on, Dad?
What's going on?
Did you all hear what I said? That this new channel that they just
yeah.
What the hell should they do with that? You know, I mean, I don't even know what to do with that. I mean, do I go up there and just get shut down, or what? I mean, I've already done this. No. I've already done it once.
Here's what you do.
You've done it.
If you want it TARP, if you want to go over there, you can.
Yeah, I know.
You can if you want to.
What's the point?
All right, well then stay put.
No, I mean not right now. He's saying we can set this up.
Oh yeah.
I'm like.
Oh, all right, yeah. Oh, all right. Well, you know what I mean? It's it comes down to deliberation and just looking at everything to see if it's gonna be. You have to look at the opportunity cost. If you're going to be at a disadvantage the whole time, you maybe not want to go out there and do it. And people, you got to start thinking about that when you're doing this gig work. I know Dad Dash knows something about that, the opportunity cost of you getting your stuff going on. But let me get back into this Cheaters Club with the multiple phones, multiple accounts. Now, we all know that the glitch is there. Now the glitch is there. We're looking past just this regular glitch and the other one. We are looking past that. It's bigger than just that. That is just the opening. There are multiple things going on that people are using on DoorDash specifically to go ahead and, make more. Now, there is another app out there and another, you can call it a glitch. It's broken down to where now you can put each restaurant in the market, what you want to accept from each restaurant. And those are the only orders you're going to get from all the restaurants, the dollar totals and everything going straight to your phone. And it's been helping people out for quite a while now, for over about a year and a half. And that's another way that people are making money there too. Now, it's not the standard glitch, but if you can set something to where it's only going to send you the orders from each individual restaurant in the area, some coder went and developed that. I will put the short up tonight, and I'll let you guys see. The ones who are interested, I'll go ahead, Dash, if you go ahead and you know what I mean, and send me something, I'll go ahead and share the link with you so you can see exactly what it's all about to help with your thing that you got going on. Because I know that might be a valuable piece of information for you right there. Okay?
Sure.
I'm not going to go ahead and just throw that out there right now with this. I don't want to be crossing people's brains and heads and making them, feel like this whole thing we are doing is a complete scam to where they cannot trust anyone. People, when information gets into the wrong hands, bad things can happen. Okay? There's an evil scientist somewhere. I don't know where he is, but there is always one lurking. They tried to trade. Well, they did. They traded Brittany Griner for Tony Starks. All right. So it's out there. All right. So know that it is out there.
I'm listening.
Now, this whole thing with the multiple accounts, it's gonna make it so that we know we have thirsty drivers out there. We know that the ones that have been using this standard glitch and the one that Ron spoke about, with them doing the other stuff, they may want to go ahead and still be using those, but there are going to be people out there that are not going to switch from wanting to do a glitch.
I gotta say something.
Okay,
Reese,
go ahead, Torp.
You got Matthew popping up mad in the comments, man. He's made like one after another. Did he just go on gangbusters trying to tell me something here and it's being missed? And I'm not going to let it be missed. I just told everybody that I got this invite from Pedro on his Pedro and Hannibal. And I just read it all. And it's come join us tomorrow so we can set you straight, old man. You have no idea what you're talking about. And Matthew is saying, if you go on that ambush, they're going to say that you're scared. Just ignore them. My advice. Well, they're just going to shut me up anyway.
Well, if I could add,
it's like you, Robert. As soon as you say something they don't like, they just shut you down. And when they shut you down, they figure that's a win. Hey, Pedro, I hope you're listening to this because I know that your trolls are. And if your trolls are, that's what counts because you don't have the time for the real, so you send the trolls out to do it. And then you got Dad Dash and you got Reese and you got all these other accounts watching for you. Know this. I don't need you to invite me to a live. I just got on Robert's live because I wanted to, because I felt like it, because I know my surroundings. That's what I do. You got to know your surroundings before you jump into a heap of shit. And what I know is this. Robert keeps it real. Dad Dash keeps it real. The whole host of us keep it real. But I'll be damned if I'm ever going to play that shit again where you get the opportunity to shut one of us down. I think we are better off just making videos, doing our own lives, and staying the fuck end away from the likes of a Pedro and a fucking Sin City and a fucking anything that has anything to do with you guys. All you've done is screwed us up to the point to where we have talked about you so much that you're getting off on it. You're ejaculating on the fact that we bring your name up. But remember this, it's never been a good outcome for you guys. We, on the other hand, have a good outcome. I'm sorry. I had to take the room for a minute because that's aggravating for me. And I'm not aggravated anymore because I got the vent. Dad, you got the floor. Sorry about that, man.
Oh no, you're fine. I just wanted to give you a little background because I've not really watched too much of the Hannibal and Pedro channel, but I remember when it came up. Most of the content that comes out is, if you look back at it, it's supposed to be. So I don't know what their plan is, but the channel is supposed to be not about gig stuff. So what it's supposed to be is like talking about other things, like just a spot for them to just sit back and chill and shoot the stuff, so to speak. So I don't know if they're really. I don't know. Again, I'm just giving you that information just because I know you saw it just kind of come up. And yesterday they kind of was the first time I saw anything, because I did see that live pop up about Eli. And that was the first time I've ever seen anything pop up, because I've been subscribed to the channel for a little while. I have heard about it from them, because I think it also
do
ties
like
in with a
music.
podcast they're doing.
They'll do
Yeah,
some
like they
random
talk about
things.
like hip hop music, and they just talk sports. So I don't know, when they said, the reason why I was pointing that out is it triggered in the comment. They said to you, "We're going to set you straight." So I'm thinking what they mean by that, maybe. And again, you can always click out, but I think they're trying to set straight on the idea that the channel is not about the drama, and they're just bringing you, because it's supposed to be a place like normally that you would go, like anybody that would come on that would come in and just like talk about stuff other than what's going on in the gig world. So again, I don't know what their intentions are, but you got to make that decision. I would ask them, although if they're planning to ambush you or whatever it is, I know what Matt's saying is true as well. I'd heard that as well earlier. I was replaying back the live from Eli, and so I know they did invite Eli, but I mean, obviously, if it's going to be something negative, I don't see the point of going into that either, because I think that's just a step back. I mean, it's just.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree
you know what
totally.
I mean.
And in the beginning of that, what Dad Dash just said was not only spot on, but it's 100. The idea that he called me an old man is right there off the spot. And the second spot, which was actually the first one, was the fact that they're calling out Eli for being a bad character. And I'm like, why is Eli a bad character? Only because he doesn't agree with them. That's been my point the whole time.
I don't know if you saw the main issue Pedro has with Eli, and I just got this from the live the other night, which is something they got to settle, themselves. But Eli, I did not see the comment. I just have heard Pedro talk about it. Was Eli made a comment about a personal situation of Pedro that was really inappropriate if he did say something like that, where he suggested that the issue when Pedro's girlfriend lost their child, apparently it was questioned if that was brought up, which I don't believe anybody would do that. I mean, my wife and I went through something similar to that. So I understand why Pedro might have some feelings towards Eli if Eli did that. I haven't seen anything. I'm not saying Pedro's lying about that. I wouldn't think he would lie about something like that either. But that's the issue they have between them. And clearly Eli has, apparently Eli went in, I guess, when a while back. I don't know if you were watching Pedro then, but Pedro and his girlfriend, Pedro's girlfriend was pregnant, and they had a miscarriage. And Pedro was very upset. He stepped away for a little while, and he had confided that into the community because he didn't want anybody to know, like, to wonder why he wasn't around as much. So he said, "We're going through something personal. This happened." Apparently, now Pedro, I don't recall Pedro putting up on the screen what was said, but apparently in that chat, or it was either in a chat or on a live, something was said along the range of that Pedro was making it up that his girlfriend miscarried just to get views and just to try to get support. And Pedro got rightly offended by that. And now, again, I haven't seen or heard what was said. I'm just taking it to say that I don't believe anybody would make something up like that. So now Eli, I don't know. Like I said, again, without having to be able to review all of the facts surrounding it, it sounds like there's a valid dispute. And that's what the whole premise of the show yesterday was like, if you're going to support someone that would suggest that somebody would fake a miscarriage, which was something that was very upsetting and traumatic for Pedro and his fiance wife, the thought was that, or what Pedro was basically saying was that that's really despicable, and I agree. I don't think that is okay. Um, so that's the issue between Eli and Pedro, and again, like I said, that's something that obviously, you know, I think is a valid thing to be upset about. So that's why, like I said, I don't. Obviously, I hadn't seen any of the stuff that was in their videos till I saw it yesterday in regards to Eli. But I guess apparently there must be some history there. That's what Eli was addressing, I guess, in the last few lives, of saying he's made some mistakes and said some things. But again, that's the issue that they have. So I think when they're saying they're going to set you straight, I think what they're trying to do, Torp, is bring you into their discussion, not to attack you, but to show you what is going on. Because I think, like I said, there's some legitimate stuff there. Like, it's not your typical YouTube drama. I think that, I don't, but I haven't seen any of it. So that's why I'm not passing a judgment, because I did not see the live or see what he was referring to, but I'm also not saying it's not true. I just don't think somebody would make up something.
Dash, that's exactly why when I did my live yesterday, I said I'm not going to speak on any of that. They have a 6-year history. A 6-year history is something that we don't know nothing about.
Right.
You know what I mean? So whatever it is, they know what points they are hitting on and how it goes like that. Let them go ahead and do that. And it's kind of similar to myself and Pedro also, that the newcomers don't know that we have, like, when people see me talk to that dude like that, why does Pedro give Reese this attention and Reese just don't care about the dude? We have a history that is not 6 years, but it's something that a lot of people, even who are just coming in now, they don't even understand what it is. So if you don't even understand what we got going on, there's no way in the world you're going to understand what him and Eli has going on.
Sure.
No way in the world.
I was just letting Torp in on to understand like what the context of the statement does make. Because all I'm doing, the only thing that's why all I've added is what was said yesterday. I'm not adding. I know nothing about it because, like I said,
right.
And I'm not passing a judgment with that. I'm just literally repeating what's already out there on YouTube. So I'm not trying to pass rumors or anything like that. That was what. That's directly from that live yesterday.
If you hear something on YouTube, if you read a comment on YouTube and it strikes a nerve, there's a reason why you saw it or heard it on YouTube and it struck a nerve. It was supposed to strike a nerve. That was the point of it. That was the point of it. Whether it was right or wrong, that was the point of it. And once it struck a nerve, it did its job. So what we know together as a collective is nothing about whether or not Eli said something about an unborn child.
I have not seen or heard whatever it was. I just know Pedro talked about it on Sunday. He talked about it last night. That's all I know about it. But again, until I see something, I can't.
As we know, there's been a lot of things said.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not able to speak to what was actually. Now, if I had been witness to the live, and then I would speak to it as a witness and say I saw this, and
wants to speak to it, I'll listen.
Well, he did. He did address it and said that it was just, that it was because that's part of what he went on and talked about, where he admitted that he's had his moments where things got, like everybody. That's why I said everybody has their moments. Yeah.
I saw that same live.
I'm just saying I can understand from Pedro's perspective where he might have some feelings. So
say that he said that.
Yes, he did. He did it. Oh yeah, he's not denying it that I saw. He's just basically saying like, it was taken. That he, I guess he's made mistakes. That's what when he's referencing, like in the lives, which he did again today, and he's referencing he's made mistakes in the past, gotten carried away, and admitted that,
whatever he's speaking about, he's speaking in language that Pedro understands, and I'm gonna just leave it. And that's they know the dialect there, and I'm gonna just leave it there. Now let me ask the both of you guys this. I'm gonna start with you, Dad Dash.
Sure.
I brought up the fact about the multiple phones and how they can use two separate accounts on like DoorDash itself. How Sin City showed on mine how he had his brother's phone and his, and they were on both on DoorDash.
Oh, but
Now,
yeah, if you go, actually, Robert, if you go back into the night on Sunday night, I had Ron on there, and basically, Ron and I had a pretty detailed conversation. He got into all of that, talking about the multiple phones, that he has multiple phones, explaining how that all worked, and that, yeah, with, that they were using two phones. Like because he was telling me, I multi-app with two phones, and both of them are DoorDash accounts. One of them, I think, is a relative or something like that.
I got to pop for a second. I
Sure.
heard you two guys talk about this, which I didn't know about it, where Eli said that, and you guys witnessed it. But also Matthew in the comments is saying that he also apologized about it. Is that also true?
Yeah.
He apologized. Yeah, that's what I meant when he said, yeah.
Torp.
Yeah,
that's what I said. He was speaking a language that him and Pedro understood. We don't know about what. That's what that was about. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said,
big deal on YouTube. We all know this. Those are a big deal. If you're going to be man enough to apologize for something, I think it's
Thank you, Trader.
You feel me?
Dashing Traders in the building because the Cheaters Club.
We all fucked up. Every one of us fucks up. There's no, but he did apologize, did he not? Eli apologized.
Well, not directly to Pedro yet. So I mean, I don't.
Yes,
I think.
Exactly.
Because I'm hearing from Matthew that he apologized. To whom did he apologize then?
No one directly. He was just saying he was more doing it because I guess he was trying to talk to his viewership. So he's not handled it between. That's what I'm saying. It's still an outstanding issue. Like, that there's not been a conversation between him, and I guess that's why Pedro wanted him to come up on the show, and he didn't show up, and then went live and said, and again, you be your judge of the character of that, where you don't come right in and just confront, not confront, but you know what I mean, come up.
I know, but we all have families. You don't fuck with families.
Yeah, and again, that's why I'm saying I agree with that. That's why I'm like, that's
at all.
You don't at all, never,
level,
right? That's a line.
Ever.
That's a line that should never be crossed, and that just really bothers me. Yeah, never. No.
Yeah. So let's just leave that whole thing alone. Not in the three amigos here. We ain't got no business speaking on nothing about that. So we just go drop that all the way together. Dashing Trader just came in.
I don't know nothing.
Dashing Trader just hopped in and said, "Nice thumbnail." And Dashing Trader. I'm gonna fill you in. You're part of the Cheaters Club because you admittedly say on your own videos that you use three phones. So Dad was right now getting into Ron in a conversation about the phones and everything. And so continue there, Dash.
Yeah. I was just saying that Ron and I were having that discussion. And I was also, just so we're clear here, because I feel like I need to make this clear. I also use multiple phones. And I had talked about that. I have used multiple phones before. Now I use multiple phones with more for a setup of having like my Uber app on one phone. But I was also talking about how I've run experiments. I've dashed for my wife, and she has a dash phone as well. Her account's on now. Her account is like 54 dashes on it. But I'm just saying, in all, I've done it as well. I mean, it's to me, my viewpoint on it is it's an advantage situation against DoorDash. I mean, I understand there's a viewpoint out there where people say, well, you're also hurting the dashers, but I'm saying to me, it's also as much a part of I don't want my phone jumping, or like if I'm out there, especially if I get into a real busy area and I got Uber Eats and Grubhub and I've got DoorDash, I've got a couple screens I got set up so I can see those. And admittedly, I am a fan of the Maximo and driver utility helper, Robert. Which
I know. I know. No. Look. People don't understand. I'm not a hater on it, and I know you, Dash. I know you. I know you use it and everything else like that. So don't think that because you use that. Yeah. I don't feel nothing different about you because of it.
Right. But I just want to be transparent because I don't want to have anybody think that I'm not that I'm coming up here and speaking against that, because I mean, if that puts you in the cheaters club, I guess I'm in the cheaters club as well. So that's why I just want to be clear, whatever the qualifications are. I'm doing those things as well.
I don't think that using the
You know,
apps, the third-party apps.
I was not privy to the glitch at all. Now, since I've become privy to the glitch, I have been messing around with it, testing it, trying to understand it. I have used it before, and to me, I think it's an advantage.
I gotta say
that.
something. I gotta say something while it's popping. I'm sorry, Dad Dash, but I gotta say something while it's popping. For a lot of us, it hasn't been about using third-party apps or even the glitch for that matter. That was never the point. The point was never about using or so, none of that. Use what works. The point was lying about it.
Right. Well, and that's why I want to be transparent in what I'm saying, that I do those things, and I do them for various different reasons. And I try to, like I said, I'm just trying to figure out the best way in my market, in my area, to work to make the most money I can when I'm out and make as much money as fast as I can. And that's it. I mean, anybody else that's doing that, I don't have a problem with them doing what they need to do, because to me, it's like, if whatever somebody does gets them deactivated, then that, as long as they understood that. Now, like I said, again, my issue with someone like Sin City was the fact that, again, just like Ron and I had a detailed discussion about, it was more along the lines of the fact that he was misleading people as to what his path was, and he was telling them to go do things that he himself wasn't doing or had stopped doing, so he could no longer speak to success. So to me, that's a problem, because like, if you're not doing it and you're telling other people that it's successful, I mean, again,
but they were telling him, people it was successful because they were getting paid to promote it.
Well, no, but he was also using the multiple phones, which is why I made this live. The multiple phones, like that, the multiple phones probably irritated Ron so much that he was man, there is no way in the world that these people can do what you are talking about, because you got the full arsenal.
Well, Ron himself uses multiple phones. Apparently, that's something they had done for a while, even before the glitch came about. Was that that was an advantageous situation where they had the ability to
passing the orders. They were passing the orders.
And doing experiments and stuff. Yeah.
Is there anybody here that would admit that they would have never found any of these apps on their own? On their own.
What do you mean?
Like, if you
on their own
out there and Google,
Pedro clicked the link and left.
How can I make this work better? How can I make this work better? On Google, it's like, is there an app where I can do this? Is there an app where I can do that? Without YouTube's assistance, all the creators. Are you guys trying to really tell me that there's no way that you would have known this on your own? How to find solo?
No, absolutely not. I found through UDM. I mean, like, YouTube is a tremendously helpful tool. That's why I've said it's a
tool if you listen to the wrong people.
Well, but it's also too where I think that we have to constantly remind people. But again, remember, this is entertainment too, so you've got to be able to parse the entertainment. Now, the problem is, like I said, not everybody understands what's entertaining and what's not. And I guess, some of those people are just not going to, again, like for me, like I had an idea that something was up with Sin City simply for the fact that I was, I always will try new things I see and start to map them out. And it was like, it wasn't making sense. And the math doesn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense when you start to understand the math behind the apps. That some of these things are not going to turn out in the long term necessarily the way we think they will. But then again, I could be proven wrong. It's all opinions. And I think that's too where, like, I don't understand why people get so angry at other people because we have different opinions. And if something's working for someone else, I that's great. Like, I'm glad you're bringing it there. Keep bringing it, showing it. And, let's talk about it, because maybe it could start working where I'm at. And I think that's just what we got to do, in terms of learning.
The talking about it is what got us to this point. And I think that's what's proven. I mean, when you can't hear both sides, you can't shut people down. You can't shut them out of your live. You can't just mute them. That's not a conversation. And that's what Pedro's all about. My point is
let me go ahead and say this really quick, guys. Let me push pause really quick. There's someone that keeps trying to come backstage. He came up and had his face disappeared as Mr. Bet on You. Then he came back up and had Peter Gozinia. Whatever troll you are, you're not going to get up because the rules on the Hot Facts on my show is this: you have to show your face. So if you just click back there to try to come up on stage, you're not going to be able to come up on stage unless you show your actual face. So please stop that right now.
That. We showing our face, they got to show their face. If they show their face, they say what they want. Show your face.
Thanks, Bobby.
Yours. Yep. I agree with that one.
Yeah. Bobby said that Dad Dash, is coming with some juice right there, and I feel the juice that he is coming with. Dad Dash, let me ask you this, and this is to both you guys. This question that I have, me myself, we just left Spader Brothers on this order on DoorDash here. It was a shop and pay order. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this off. Would you like to know from Richard how many content creators who do DoorDash signed up for his Discord and how many paid the $40? Is that something that you would like to know yourself?
Not. I mean, if he wanted to share it, I don't really think it's necessarily that relevant now because to me, the way I see this is the fact that it's out here now, right, is all that we can really do about it. So because we're never going to know who used what, and to a degree, it's not necessarily our business that anybody did this or did that. But the fact that we understand that this is here, that it's available, and then we can now evaluate content and evaluate what we see based on knowing it's there. So if something looks unbelievable, we might conclude it is. But again, like I said, I don't know that I need to know who was on his Discord. If he wanted to share something like that, but I also can understand why he wouldn't share that because but I don't know unless that's private, but information. I don't know how all that works with Discord, but I don't really think it's relevant to know who. I just think we know it's here. We know it's been used. We know it's being used by some. At this point, I think the only danger to putting content out regarding how successful the glitch could be might be that people would feel like maybe it gives DoorDash a map to their account. But I think that the risk of deactivation is kind of a double-edged sword. So, when it comes to that, because I think as much as we're like I said this in my video today, as much as it's a violation of TOS for us to use it, it's also a violation for DoorDash because it's a back door to have put that in there. So if they start deactivating Dashers for using it, they're now putting in writing, they're now potentially putting themselves open to being sued about something because that's when DoorDash crosses the line to say, well, now we're going to sue people because how are they selectively deciding who to sue? So I think it's a situation where DoorDash is kind of caught between a rock and a hard place as far as how they react to it.
How do we even know about this?
Know about what? The glitch?
Yeah. Yes. How?
Well, I think because it's something that honestly you understand how the glitch actually fully works, like the full glitch.
No. That's not what I asked. How do we know about the glitch?
Well, from Richard, you mean?
No.
That he told us.
Well,
from the lounge.
Well, let me
gotcha.
let me answer that, Torb, because to me personally, well, this is just my opinion here. I think that because that when you call the customer support and you listen to the options, right? They tell you that if you are having trouble with receiving orders or if you have not received the order in a long time, they have you call customer support. Well, they tell you to push that number, right? You push that. When you do that, they tell you to hit force stop, and then they tell you that we're going to try to send you another order. I think that someone saw that their acceptance rate went up when that happened, and then they tried it again. That's what I personally think myself.
Right. Well, I think it was that. So my problem is how did we find out about the glitch?
Well, how we found out about the glitch, I mean, if you look back at everything that's in there, it's in following the video that was put out by Jeff Thomas Black. I mean, the way we found out about the glitch, again, this is something I made the case to Pedro, and it's something that I know some people might look at and say, well, I don't want to view it this way. But if you want to view it at its core, it started with Pedro, I believe, if you follow his timeline, and I believe the timeline that he put out, that he found out from the Driven Dad in May, he finds out, and then the glitch stuff happens. It's on his mind.
We found
out about this thing.
Lounge. That's where it started. That's
no. He did. No, well, no. It.
That's where it
he put. No. Where it started is he puts the community post up.
Cherry pick, blew it out
and always cherry pick.
Yes, and then
no.
Black exposed it from there.
Well, no. Well, let me give you the.
That's where
it didn't start. Actually, it did not start in the lounge. Let me just update you on that. And that's what I'm telling you. What happened is always cherry pick was frustrated and upset with Pedro, and Marcus came on always cherry picks live. And that's the video that doesn't exist anymore. It was taken down. I happened to be, because I watched Cherry's live.
Dude, we got to talk about what everybody.
It is what's no. I saw it. Like I saw this live. This is not.
We didn't see it. You did.
But that's where the glitch information came out of.
Well,
and then
this whole community is revolving around right now is what Thomas Jeff Black exposed from the lounge.
Right. No, if you watch the video, he talks about that there was
he does talk about it, but it doesn't exist anymore. So how in the fuck can we base anything on it? If it's because
Jeff Thomas Black said Jeff Thomas Black saw it.
Well, yeah, he saw it, but there's no exposure to it. There's nothing on court. There's no paper.
Well, no, there is because there is because
where does it exist?
Well, because Cherry and Flex acknowledge that was exposed, and they talk about the video.
What, dude? We're talking about the last 2 weeks here, not what happened in some black room that nobody has a fucking key to.
Tor, settle down, man. That's what they were talking about for the last 2 weeks. It's not.
Dude, where have you been for the last 2 weeks? This glitchgate exists because Jeff Thomas Black exposed what happened between Always Cherry Pick and Flex. It wasn't. Everything started.
No, it wasn't.
That was part of it. That was part of it.
That's the part that everybody's got privy to. That's the privy.
But they did not discuss how the glitch worked.
Something that nobody knows about because they can't see it, they can't feel it, they can't hear it. It's what you're saying, not what we've seen.
Well, they can. Yeah, but I'm saying what was discussed in that live was tested out by people and confirmed to work. To which Flex and Cherry then had a conversation because Flex was confronting Cherry and saying, "Dude, why did you say this?" And Cherry was like, "I took it down," because apparently they got really mad at each other. That's how everything got validated that conversation occurred. To which Jeff Thomas Black put it up, which is why I guess he felt comfortable putting it up because the conversation, although it doesn't exist, it's private now.
How many people he felt comfortable. How many people are privy to what you're talking about?
However many people. I think there was probably 20 or 30 people in the live at the time when I was watching it.
It's just you. And maybe Robert.
Well, they did talk about it. No, they did talk about it. I mean, they talked about it.
I've never heard of it before. Except for Jeff Thomas Black said there was a video that was deleted by Always Cherry Pick.
No, they talked about it. Other people have talked about it, and it's
been talked about it, Torp, and also
all the time.
Torp, also,
Bobby was on it. He was there that day. He talked about it on. Bobby talked about it on the lounge the other night. I'm saying everybody's been talking about it. Like nobody doesn't acknowledge it.
Explain to everybody. I want to know who everybody is.
All right. Torp. Let me explain what everybody.
This is like fucking Sin Cities. He was the only one privy to what he knew until Flex and Cherry Pick popped it. This privy shit.
Yeah, but look, Torp. Whenever someone is on camera, Torp. Whenever someone is on screen, you also have to know that in these chats. People are talking about it in the chats also. It's being spoke about.
I'm talking about what they can see.
All right. Yeah, but all right. So from what they can see, it went from the words, the argument and everything else. And then, Jeff Thomas Black And then Thomas Schubeck has been one of the ones putting it out, showing every single day exactly how it works. He's almost at 100% right now. He's been showing how that glitch works. Ron knows about another glitch that they were using also. Okay,
which is the one that Sin City talked about in his live, right?
Yes,
he
exactly.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the real glitch. That, well, they're basically the one that Thomas is using would be considered. That's what iPhone users are able to do, and then the Android user is able to do, as Sin City explained. The Android users are able to do one that actually lets them see the order, decide if they want it, and then they don't have to decline it. They can let it time out, and then it moves on without ever having to decline an order at all. So they can see every single order, and then if a good order comes, you get to take the order. So that's why my argument has been that's why when you hear people say it's that have described the glitch, that it's the ultimate way to cherry pick, because it does let you're essentially cherry picking without consequence.
I see.
So you can keep it high. Now watch this, Dad Dash. Because you said that, the other app and the other glitch that people have been using for over a year now, and it has not been stopped. It allows the individual in their market where they are to actually put a price on what they will accept for every single merchant in the area. Yes. So if you don't like McDonald's and you're like McDonald's, I only want to take this from McDonald's, you can put it in there for you. And you can break down your market like that. So, people like, these things, these glitches, they are there. There's a lot of people that do a lot of these things, which is, the thumbnail, the Cheaters Club is essentially for the people using, they are dirty apping the dirty app with dirty apping their multiple phones. If
just
that
roll
makes
over
sense
whatever
to anyone.
I said, guys. Just roll it over. Just roll over whatever.
No, we're not.
Torque,
we're not.
It's fine.
Torque, we're not rolling over. No, we're not rolling over any of that.
You just want to roll over it. Roll over it.
No, we're not.
Did. Just roll over it. It's all
no,
good.
we're not. Torque, we're not rolling over it. We're not rolling over it because at this point, it doesn't matter how something came out. It doesn't matter anymore.
That's not how
it's already there.
No, dude, it does make a difference because you guys both rolled over the fact that this whole started from Jeff Thomas Black exposing the fact that I just talked about. He just rolled right over. It's like,
he did. No, Torque, I did a video today.
What is the? No. So hold on 1 second, Robert. What is the point that you were making about that? So that
is that you guys just squashed the idea that Glitchgate happened. No,
we didn't. How did we do that? How did we squash the idea that Glitchgate happened?
You just told me there was a video that was missed. 20 people knew about it, and you can't name but 3 people that did. And
but it's the origins. It's the origins of
is the matter of the fact, and the origin is Jeff Thomas Black pulled that off.
No, I know. No one's saying he didn't. No one's saying he didn't. Yeah. That's what I don't understand. Why you're saying that somehow acknowledging how that Jeff Thomas Black ran into the live that's still there. Like that's what caused the conversation between Cherry and Flex. No one's saying it didn't happen. To which Jeff Thomas Black broadcast that as evidence that conversation happened. No one has said it didn't happen or is saying that somehow takes away. That's just the sequencing of events.
No, I called him a hero today. I called him a hero and made a video.
But no one rolled over that fact. That's why I was trying to understand. That's why I was trying to understand what the point was. Because I mean, I know that. I'm not saying it didn't. Obviously, that's exactly what happened. But I'm saying there was the thing that led to the conversation between Cherry Pick and Flex was that live.
We got Bobby in the chat.
That doesn't take away anything, right? I mean, so that's what I'm saying. I thought maybe there was a tie-in you were trying to tie in with saying, but if no one's glossing over Jeff's role in the situation, yeah, I mean that absolutely is how it all started. He's the one that brought it to public light, which then led to everything that happened with Sin City coming out and all of this.
Historical. It's historical. Yeah. There's no way to not even bring his name up.
Well, maybe I misunderstood you guys. Maybe I took it wrong.
Yeah, Torp.
Yeah,
No,
that's what I
Torp.
was
We
like. I
didn't
mean, you're
miss you.
getting fired up, but I was like, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you in any way, shape, or form.
I just got to say that if I heard it wrong, I heard it wrong. Oops.
Yeah.
All right. You know what, Torp?
Right, yeah.
Torp, can I call you Torp? Would it be safe to say, Torp, or this is my opinion? Did you used to watch the A Team? You had to watch the A Team. You had to watch the A Team.
I love Hannibal on the A Team.
You love Hannibal? Well, you have the brain of Hannibal and the sarcasm of Murdoch. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about that? Yeah. So
shit.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yes. Yes. So that's how I see you. That's why I like to hear what you talk. You get fired up. You get fired up like Ric Flair, man. You get fired up.
Dude, you know this about me. I'm a passionate little bastard, dude. I can't deny that. But hey, man, it is the situation that we're living in currently. And I'm with Dad Dash. It needs to move on, but my moving on is a little bit different than everybody else's. Right now I'm all harping on something else besides Glitchgate, which has been closed. It's over. But now we're dealing with the people that started it in a different light, and that's my plight. But you guys have been a part of the history that created everything. All of you. Dad Dash, Robert, Rev, I mean, the list goes on and on. We have been a part of history. And that will not go unrecognized, especially not by me. These men have had a huge part in history. They all need to be recognized for doing the right thing. And like Dad Dash has his own plight. He still wants to teach people how to do it right, give them the right tools. I acknowledged him for that. I can't do that. I don't know how to read a chart. I sure the fuck can't read one. But I know this. There are people out there that need that help. And he can help them with it. We all know this. Dad Dash is my man when it comes to you know what? Sit down. We're going to get this figured out for you. You're going to be a better person for it. You run your own business. You'll be better off. Dad Dash is that man. Yeah. We all know this. He's the one guy in this community that can actually do that. None of us can. I know that Robert has a lot of game, but that ain't it. Robert's game is the news, and my game is not the news. It's not charts. So
right.
I think we got this triangle that works for everybody. There's a little piece here for everybody. As long as we all see the same thing, a little respect for each other, and just get to the same point at the end of the day. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, but also make sure you do it. You do you. You do it
right
your way with the information that's been provided to you by men that actually give a fuck about you. And that's when they're going to win. That's the end of the day. They're going to win if they take advice from people that are trying to help them. And that's what we got here in this community. This new community. I'm not even going to call it bottom feeders anymore. I'm going to call it real people. The real people are the ones that are trying to help the real people.
The woke.
I love it. The woke.
We can't. Can we still woke? Can we still woke? All right. Can we still woke?
I mean,
saying woke, people might think we eat spiders and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, but can we be woke?
I get you, because it's the amazing amount of speaking that you have to do to get your point across. And it's a good thing that we like to talk, because we got to do a shit ton of talking to get our point across. And it's exhausting.
I got a question right here. How many of what percentage of the no tip, no trippers do you think were undercover top dashers? But still trying to, you know what I mean? It can be, it's an estimate, it's an estimate, because a lot of them were afraid to say they were top dashers because they already joined, they got their initiation, they got their leather jackets. And when they got them, they start feeling a certain way and start doing stuff separately, behind the scenes. What percentage do you think, were actually top dashers but posing as, we are still like this?
Yeah, I think it's. I'm not sure how many people will be, but what I would tell you is, if anybody that was had the knowledge of the full glitch could still be no tip, no trip, and still get all the benefits of Top Dasher, because that's essentially what the full glitch does for you. So, I mean, it could anybody that would say, hey, I knew about it and used it, would then be probably someone you're talking about. But I mean, I think there was a lot of people, obviously, that when this wasn't out in public. I mean, if anybody was using it, uh, they probably were getting Top Dasher. Although I don't know. I guess it's tough because if they were Top Dasher, and which would mean unless they cherry picked all the way down when the diamonds come in, we would have seen diamonds on their screen. So they had to justify diamond dashing.
Good
Um,
point.
when the diamond priority came to their zone, so they had to make a pivot. And again, there's no way to know whether
You
someone
guys
was
watching
authentic
the
in their pivot.
comments? Are either one of you gentlemen watching the comments? We got some good
Mhm.
ones.
No, I see what's going on there. I see what's going on.
Are you
Yeah, Dad Dash is on a good one. I'm enjoying what I'm hearing right now.
No,
I'm
me too,
enjoying
but
what I'm
you gotta
hearing.
pay attention to the comments at least 10%, dude. These guys
They're hilarious.
I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
because when I said, being woke and eating spiders, somebody said Black Widows. I was like, oh damn, you know what I mean? So hey, well, I'm just happy they weren't a real insect person, because they could have said a brown recluse. You know what I mean? And they were like, oh, hey, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
if you're in
dude, did you
Australia,
pull that? Dude,
it's that funnel web,
dude. No, Reese, did you pull Nate? See, watch this. Watch how I say this name. Alex. I caught everybody off guard with that. Did you see what Alex's comment was? He said you pulled his wrench.
Oh, wow.
I knew you'd like that.
The wrench thing came back up.
Yeah.
The wrench thing came back up.
He pulled that about 3 minutes ago. He said that.
Now, you guys do know that there were people that probably experimented, and they are afraid to even say right now that they tested it out, because even if they say they tested it out, they think that they're going to get hit with, like a bad blemish on their name. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with seeing what it is and seeing if you would like to continue. There's a lot of people out there like that I think are afraid to speak up that, hey, we found out and we tried it, because I think they don't want to get backlash from other communities here on YouTube. What do you guys feel about that?
I think it's a matter of how they portray things. So if you portrayed that you were doing something organically, and they were not doing it organically, and they didn't choose to tell that. Now, if they just tested it behind the scenes and said, I'm not interested in it, and go, maybe they may feel like, hey, that could throw shade on them, and people will start thinking, oh, they were definitely doing it. But yeah, I would say there's some hesitation, but I think at this particular point, like I said, it's a matter of just understanding that it exists and viewing. If it's not working for you, my thing is like I said, and which is why Torp was bringing up my data that I would encourage everyone that's capable, and everybody is, I believe, there's simple ways you can do it. Collect data, look at what's going on, and react to it, and that will tell you, because I'm telling you, you can see various different metrics really quick and start to see whether these things are working for you or not. And if it isn't working for you, move on. That's why I say one of the things that everybody needs to understand, and this is the important information that Jeff Thomas Black has in his book. And if you go out and look at the DoorDash Engineering YouTube page, you look at you're and watch some of the videos and understand, go to the read about the algorithm, and even Cherry is open about this. Everybody's experience with DoorDash is unique down to the dasher itself, and how you interact with DoorDash will have a lot to do with what you get back out. So
Hey,
as you're and you, what's that? Let me see it.
Can I ask you if I'm using the glitch right now?
I mean, you might be. I don't know. I mean, if you're not, that's great. I have no idea.
Whoa. I've been waiting to save this. I got something to show you. You. And this is for Thomas Industries. I want you guys to take a look at that. Read it out loud. What that says.
5.
Well, I'll show you
5. Yep. That's a 5 customer rating. 91% acceptance, 100% completion rate, and I can't see the 95% on time. There it is.
All right, now I'm going to show you my receipt. Y'all ready for it?
Sure.
Let's roll, brothers. I got a little game for you. I got some game for you. This will help. This is going to help. It's time to put up or shut up, right? Today is a great example. I did some stupid shit today. And you guys can see I'm live. This ain't no edited. This ain't no nothing like that. Let's see here. Oh shit, this should change. It's fucking Monday, ain't it? Yep, it's Monday, so that's gonna change right there. That's gonna change right there. I got you. Hold on. Had a good damn day for real. All right, let's see here. Okay. Check out this date. Yeah. I did it in 3 parts. Let me start there, but I did it in 3 parts today. This is part 3. As soon as it comes into focus, I can see it too, so don't worry about that.
Oh, I can't see nothing. It looked like I was going to the Twilight Zone.
Hold on. I got to pull this shit back for a second.
Oh, damn. Look like I'm looking into the sun.
Well, that's because it's... Man, damn. Hold on.
I got trying to bring this down.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe that's what I need to do. Hold on.
Yeah.
This is just the receipt.
I was like, you trying to blind me? I got to see where I'm going. I'm driving right now.
How in the hell is that not picking? Oh, I had it.
Torb, I can't look at no more eclipses.
They got that shit
trying to make me.
They got that shit black and white. Wait a minute.
Well, while you're fixing that, I'm going to ask a question right now to Dad Dash. Dad Dash, what do you think the overall impact of, I would say, DoorDash is going to be? Because what if drivers just say, hey, it's all good, let's go ahead and just use it? What do you think the overall impact would be if people just start using the glitch on DoorDash?
Minimal. Because see, if everyone, my argument's been the same. If everyone becomes top dasher, it's all the same. If everyone uses the glitch, it's all the same, because there's a finite amount of orders available at any given time. Now, what we're sorting through is the orders that are not good. In fact, it might be better for the driver, because if everybody's using the glitch, it means that they're passing on orders that are probably going to be more selective, because they're expecting. It's at $48. Says $48. All right, nice. Because I see 40. No, I see $48 on the screen. That's all I can see in the time. And I see some. I can't read the numbers of the individual dashes, but I can.
At the top.
48 at the top.
Right there.
That's one day.
48.
That's one day. That was about an hour. Hold on.
Oh, that was one dash. Okay.
No, I ain't done with you yet. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, this is my favorite one. Wait till this shit comes in focus. It'll come in focus. I just figured it's got to be at an angle. Here we go. Oh, does that say $4? Does that say $4?
I can't see nothing. You trying to blind me again, Torb. You trying to make sure I can't do no more news channel, man.
What does that say?
I see a $4 something. It says 4. What's that? 4? Is that 4.30?
I can't. Hold on. You know what? Oh, wait a minute. I gotta scroll down. There it is. Okay, sorry. I see 450 McDonald's, but I can't see I can't see the top. If there's a number, it's supposed to be at the top. You keep going down, Torb. Keep going down.
Go to the top, Torb, so I can see if there's something up top. Did I see a $12 there?
Yeah. And there's a 450 right there.
Yeah, 450. Yep.
Yeah, that was my day today, guys. That is not a glitch user. You don't pull one of these. Oh, by the way, this don't show miles, which pisses me off. But I guarantee you this much: it wasn't no fucking half mile. How about that? How about that? No, dude.
Well, here's what I would say to you.
There you go.
I would just go mentally so I can always be good for the next day, and
I
just
got
say
more
that
of them, but
it was
too
my
much.
day off, and I just did an order on my day off because I was bored and one came on in. I'm gonna just leave it like that so I can get on to the next day.
You got that right, dude. I'll tell you right now. If you guys want to see it, I'll show it to you. It might take some work, but I got a 225 in there from 3 days ago.
Well, I'm a salesman and a sales director. You know what I mean? I've ran many teams. I've ran businesses. So, every single day is the day at hand. And whatever you did that day that you are on, what I used to do with my teams, 3 things that you did great, 3 things that you could work on, 3 things that you did bad in that day. If you can't come up with 9 things, you did not work hard that day. And we sit there and talk about those things. You get on to the next day, the 3 things that you did terrible, you go ahead and make sure you perfect those on the next day so that you can actually make it a rock solid, ringing them bells and hitting them gongs that next day. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, what I used to tell the way we used to phrase it was is anything that you did that you don't like is an opportunity for the next day. Let that be your
Woo-wee.
motivation. So that's an opportunity. That was always, and that's how I always phrased it with my teams and my staff. It was always we looked at you never look at it as bad, look at it as an opportunity. And then it would talk about what is the thing you're going to change? Like what's the one change if you didn't like your results today? What are we changing about tomorrow? And it's still what I do with myself, but it's what are you changing? Because the one thing you absolutely can never do ever is go and do the same thing you did on a day you don't like the results. Because if you do that, the only thing you're doing is guaranteeing that you're going to probably have a similar day. Now, maybe not, but your chances are high. So make a change, get motivated around that change, get fired up around it. And that's what I'll do. If I go out and have a day I don't like, it's like, what am I going to do different? Whether that's I'm going to change my miles to money, maybe make an adjustment downward, upward. I'm going to be trying something new. And then that's all. I'm not going to consume myself with what I didn't like. I'm just going to consume myself with what I'm going to be doing different and just get really fired up and excited about it and then get out and start working. And then a lot of times keeping that positive mindset, just and going and approaching and then and getting that first victory in the day and then build from there. And one of the big things too, just coming from a sales environment is obviously we'd have huge goals that we had to have, but you always, you celebrate each victory that you have, but you celebrate the small ones. And when you add the small ones together, it equals a big one. So you focus on getting the small victories. Yeah. You don't ever focus on it. And again, taking it by the hour, by the order, whatever it is. So focus on getting that thing. If you get a good order, that's why that's one of the reasons why I have tried to gear my mindset to order value is because at the end of the order, it's something I can evaluate and I can say, how did that turn out? And since I can control how long I'm taking on an order, that I'm going to evaluate myself on the minutes I'm spending on an order. Every decision I made after that, has been already decided. I mean, I already saw the miles it's going to be. That's done. Now, obviously, and if I end up in a traffic or I have to be detoured, that's out of my hand. Only thing I can control is get to the restaurant, get inside, make my decisions on what I'm doing inside that restaurant. If I'm staying for the wait, get as much information as I can, and just do everything that I have control over. And that is the only thing we really have control over is the minutes we're on an order as far as working efficiently and making sure that we're getting the most out of that time. And then that's where we get the reward. And then the next thing is obviously, picking and seeing where we end up. But that is a test in knowing your market. And then obviously someone like Torp.
You are great.
Everyone.
I knew I liked you, man. I knew I liked you. See, when I first listened to you, Dad Dash, I said this is someone that when I do a startup meeting for the whole crew, I'm like, I'm gonna pass it to him next. I knew it. And that's why I love what you say. There's some people in the gig world and people yes, I'm gonna talk about this now because when you guys write me things, I am the official news channel of the gig world, and Dad Dash is right here. So I'm gonna let the man know right now. Whoever don't like it, oh well. I'm about to break it out right now. They tried to compare you to rideshare rodeo, which I do understand why with the transparency thing. They don't
Mhm.
see the difference between you two like I do. You are on transparency about what they are getting and what needs to be given to you because your business is coming in and you need to
Right.
know that. Steve is
Right.
all about the transparency, just being a driver and going to, he's not thinking about the business side of the transparency. And
Right.
when you come across with what you do, then you tie that in when you say, you are a representation, of yourself and your brand, your
Hmm.
business, I love everything about that. There's people that have said, well, he's just like rideshare rodeo, and you are not. So those were my words. Can you let the people out there know you're on Hot Facts right now? Those of you who may say, well, you're not Pedro. No, I'm the official news channel, and it's real when it's here. Can you let the
Hmm.
people know in your own words the difference between you and rideshare so that they can separate you two without thinking you're the exact same channel so you can get your stuff in too?
Well, like, again, well, I'll just say what I'm about it, and that the contrast can be put there. But essentially, when I talk about transparency, just to be transparent about that, I'm talking about transparency in terms of us being able to see the full. Again, one of the big things that I have focused on the channel and said is there's an amount of essentially my theory on it or my approach is the apps are, if you understand the way the apps are working, they state, not me, it's not what I'm saying, they state that we're businesses. They state, and I have people come in my comments and say, I'm like, it's not me saying that, it's the TOS, and that's what they're saying. So if they're asking us to be a business, we act like a business. The way to go and come at the apps and get true reform of the apps is hold them to the legal agreements that they're making with us, which is they're holding that we're businesses and that they are a technology platform. Now, I have experience with what they're talking about because when I was, in the financial services side that I was in, we relied on lead generation uh, companies that would provide us with leads, and they were essentially platforms that would say, hey, we're going to give you these opportunities, contact these customers and turn them in. They only got paid when we turned them into something. If they didn't, so the incentive was on them, on these companies, to provide us with quality leads, which is essentially, it's not quite the same, but it's a central premise that the apps themselves are holding that out. They're saying we are technology platforms. We're providing you with the technology to get orders done. We're providing you with the technology to do these things and operate your business, without which you wouldn't be able to operate. Now, they're also taking it a step further because they're actually acting on behalf of our businesses, and they're taking our
Uh-huh.
money, which is why one of the things I wanted to get into when you saw people like Uber, Lyft, Phoenix, whose money was being held, which I think is why DoorDash gave back the money, and that was where I was going with it. I never really finished. I haven't finished the series of
All
videos
right,
on it.
no, thank you. Stay on there because you just brought me back on. I was gonna ask something about this earlier, so you stay on because my question is gonna tie into what you're gonna go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what, essentially,
Well,
when they hold the money, like they're acting as agents on our business. So they're holding the money for us, but they're not holding the money. If you read the agreements, they are not saying the money that's driver's money is never going to DoorDash. They say no, we're not. We're just simply acting as an agent for the driver, collecting the money and holding it. So each individual time that
y'all
they
hear
do
that?
that, it's individualized for that contract.
Hey, did y'all
So
hear
for
that?
DoorDash,
Hello?
what's that? What's
My
up?
mama went to the
Hello?
hospital. My mama went to the hospital.
Oh no, you are? Oh no, I
Oh,
didn't hear
Yeah,
that.
no,
Oh
no, no.
geez. Holy
Ongoing
cow, man, are
problem.
you all right?
Ongoing problem. Wife's dad is in Jewish hospital in Cincinnati. Long
Oh
story
wow.
short, I gotta go.
Oh
All
man.
right,
All
hey,
right. Well, good luck. Yeah.
take care, man.
Yeah. Take care,
Take
man. I
care.
hope it all goes well. But anyway, so essentially, when that money gets held,
I
right,
don't know if
by the
he
app,
left.
it's
Yeah,
yeah, he left. He said his. I think he said his wife's dad, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So I
right,
hope everything goes well with
right,
that. Is in the
right.
Um, but essentially, the money is being held by the apps, right? So the problem DoorDash has when they're holding the money, then is they're acting as an agent on our business, which we're giving them agency and limited power of attorney to do so. So it's their job when we confirm the order to release that money to us, even though they're holding it now. Now they've given us several options of having the money released, but technically speaking, when that order is completed, that money's been released. They're doing nothing more than just holding it, and then they're dispersing it to us at that time. So when they withheld his money, if it wasn't related to the issues that they had, they did not have a right to withhold it on the other things. That was a actual fertile ground to which DoorDash could have been sued by Uber, Lyft, Phoenix at that time because there was issues with holding that money at that individual time, which is
Now,
a which
wait,
is
push
a
pause on that. Well, push
sure.
pause on that. That goes into my question here about when DoorDash, why they released the money there. To me, I feel like they knew that there was going to be a larger class action because of these drivers being deactivated.
Well,
Now,
yeah,
he was saying that the place was closed. We all know that
yeah.
you should call so that they could go ahead and do that. But essentially, there is no record from even DoorDash checking with the restaurant because they would have already did that. And if there's a
Right.
class action, those lawyers are going to jump all over that instantly. And then instead of DoorDash paying out millions and millions of dollars to drivers who are going to jump in on that, it's better to just give him back his almost $1,100.
Well, Well, yeah, because see, you have to understand there's a boundary there, right? When if DoorDash simply deactivates an account and says we're no longer going to allow you to have opportunities, that's one thing. However, when they withhold money, they now have a requirement to if he seeks legal action to state why that is. They will now have to go on the record, which now we cross over into them coming on and making a claim, which is what they don't want to do. So there's
Right.
a huge issue when they hold money back because that in effect takes it to another level to where they will now need to state a reason. Once you go on record for a reason, you pull in because you're going to pull into then now having to prove whatever the deactivation was. So I think basically what they did there was they understood that if they didn't give the money back and still held the money back, it opens up his right. Now, as long as they're just saying, look, future orders, you're no longer eligible. They can do that to anyone, and they don't have to tell you why. They're not, again, they just say, we're no longer, because your relationship with DoorDash or any of these apps only extends at the time you agree. And they have every right to say, we're never going to offer you another opportunity again, which is, again, why it's important that I say when I'm out here, what I'm trying to bring out is saying, listen, I understand there's a lot of people out there that are saying, hey, we want to bring this into the realm of like make them be our like either we're not independent contractors or we're employees. But my thing is the only thing we can ever be to them is an independent contractor, or better yet, the way they recognize it in state and TOSs, which is as a business. That is the only relationship we can ever have with them. So it's either that or they go away, or what happens is, right, the real way of everything going away is that once they have to declare what we are, now our individual towns, states, everywhere has to deal with the fact that if we're businesses, well, exactly what are the requirements for us to operate? And now they start creating barrier of entry. The real issue at hand is the barrier of entry issue because DoorDash needs
Right.
to saturate. By saturating, they will continue to be able to drive prices down by oversaturating and basically essentially creating all this competition. Once you start to create a barrier of entry, whether that's they need licenses, they need trainings, they need this, now the population of dashers goes down because there's going to be a large swath of people that says, I'm not doing that for 1 hour a week. Like, I'm not going to go down there and have to go do this or do that or whatever requirements. So that's what DoorDash is really fighting against, or all these apps are fighting against, because they said, well, we don't want that. We want to be able to have as many people, because that's the key. If you listen to all of them, their key is to bring as many people in as they can, and they understand there's going to be a finite amount of contracts or opportunities to work, and they don't care if there's 10 million to 10,000 contracts. That works for them, because then they know what they're going to do is the pressure will be that these 10 million people who put all their eggs in the basket of that app will take less. In fact, they will do what Tony Hsiu wants, which is to take zero and to just go out for tips. And they'll say, okay, whatever it is. But the bottom line is, the real thing, which was my point, is, you again, as you and I talked about, you were born earlier, you have to control your controllables. We can't control where we're at right now if we're going to work here right now. What we can control is what we accept. So not a bad order, you've never had a bad order that you didn't accept, which means you've never had a bad order that you didn't choose to be part of. Now, correct, the issue comes down the road when you take another bad order because you didn't go back and look at what you accepted or what led to that bad order. Now that problem transfers to you, because you're not doing what you need to do to make sure you're not making that same mistake over and over again. And that's where I'm trying to say, listen, there's one way to do that. The apps are not going to, again, part of what we should be requesting of the apps is the apps obviously have the ability to collect data for us. Like, they're providing a service for us. So what should be happening is there should be a commercial to us that says, hey, how can we win your business? We're the best at collecting data for you. We're going to provide you with your miles and your this and your metrics and everything that you need to run your business and get the most out of it. But that's not what they do. They withhold all of that information so that we're blind, so we can't make good business decisions. And then they push it out, and then they bring in as many inexperienced and flood the network. So anybody that comes in and thinks, hey, I got a little bit of an edge. Hey, I might know what I'm doing. Well, that's great that you do, but you're just going to get spaced out, because we're going to have another 1,000 people that come in and don't know what they're doing, and they're just going to take whatever they take, and they're not going to be worried about it. They're going to be like, all right, whatever hits my screen, I have 45 minutes to work, and that's who DoorDash really wants in there. But the point is it's making sure people understand, because a lot of people do not understand. I mean, I have seen, I'm part of forums, I'm part of Facebook groups, and there are so many people out there that are beyond the YouTube community. The YouTube community tends to be actually much more informed than the average people out there, the other millions of people that are out there driving. And there is a huge swath of people that are literally, I've seen people talking about, I got my DoorDash shirt today, I got my hat, I'm ready to go out. And they're acting like they're showing up at, McDonald's or Best Buy or something for their first day of work. And it's like,
no, you're not lying. You're not lying.
It's like, that's not what you're showing up for right now. There's people on there that are like I'm part of a group that they were in, and I was trying to help them to understand things. And they were saying that they had called support and were upset because support told them, like, yeah, well, you do get some mileage on there, but we don't keep miles for purposes that you should be using for your taxes. And this person was like freaking out. And it was like, do I have to keep miles? And it's like, well, yes, you need to keep, so we're trying to, but there's a lot
of people out there that have this job. And here is the thing that makes it so, drivers, if you are a driver out there and you are watching Hot Facts right now, you got to understand that there are things that happen to us drivers that is out of our control, because there's a lot of drivers. Just imagine this. They see you going picking up orders in a place all the time. They get enough courage to ask you, how much do you make? I always see you in here. And if you inflates your numbers, you're dead wrong. But if you tell them what your numbers are and you make more than what they are making there, chances are within about a month, they're not going to be working at that place where they saw you picking up from. They're going to be, okay, there's another order. This going to make $30 for the hour. On DoorDash, people, by the way, they're going to see that, dang, I don't want to work here anymore. Then you're going to see them out driving, and these people are used to just W-2s. And first of all, they may not have been the best W-2 employee. That's why they had a W-2. And now they're out there driving. and they're acting like it's a W-2, calling support, like he said.
Mm-hmm.
You guys aren't doing this stuff for me. How come you're not doing that for me? Well, first of all, before you get into a job like this, people, I strongly suggest, if there's not like a community center course you can take in your local town, if you can't find nothing online, take something up on business ownership and management, just so that you can scramble your brain out from being in that W-2 and learn that you got to start doing some things for yourself. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get out here, and it's drivers like that that mess up our markets, believe it or not. It's drivers like that. It's not the no tip, no trip. It's drivers that don't know exactly what's going on.
Well, here's what I would say to that, though, Robert, and this is what you got. This kind of comes back. This is something that's a little bit, it's harder to understand because again, when you're looking at the way DoorDash is lined up and the way it works, is that no driver can mess up anyone's market necessarily because the what they're seeing on their phone, what they're seeing on their phone is unique to that driver because and so yeah, they are coming in messing up, I guess in a sense that DoorDash has people to get these orders off, so they're not having to necessarily increase. But what you do with how you interact with your app is also very, very important. So you can kind of control your experience a little bit if you go in and you have your set. It's going to learn your way. It's going to learn what you need to work. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that obviously you're not going to see bad orders at times, but you may see less bad orders if you're willing to go in and essentially communicate with the algorithm. Remember, the only way we communicate with the algorithm is accept or decline. So, that's why one of my things, again, is trying to get people to understand. And again, understand your averages, understand what you're looking at. If you're unhappy with what you're making, then you can probably pinpoint a lot of it's going to be you're probably taking orders that are too small on an average basis. So sit there and sometimes you've got to be a little more patient. Sometimes you've got to be one. And listen, you're not going to see. It's like the old idea where you're not going to see the results right away. So it's like I used to coach people on that when we would have, you'd have sales, and I'd say, all right, try this technique and try this. There's a period of time you've got to do it, and it's got to become, and then you've got to test it out. In this instance here, it's probably about 100 to 200 offers. Test out your new way, look at what you're looking, but you've got to be mapping it out and tracking it out. And that's where a lot of drivers are going to say, this isn't serious enough for me to do that. I don't care enough. And okay. But my point is like, if you're, the impact that they're making on their financial self, this is the fallacy. Is many drivers that would say, and I've seen it in a lot of comments and stuff, people will say, I'm not going to do that. That's crazy. This is just gig work. But yet you were just 2 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, complaining about how much you hated DoorDash because you weren't making money. So what is it? You can't have it both ways. If you want to know how to try to make money, and you're not guaranteed anything to make, that it's going to work. But if you want a better opportunity and a better chance, then you need to try these things because what you're doing isn't working. And if it was working, you wouldn't be sitting here bitching and moaning in a comment section, screaming about how terrible DoorDash is. So we know
how terrible it is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm saying there is work that's got it. Like it is not just, it is simple. So I've called this the simplest, the simplest, hardest job I've ever done. It's simple. But to do it right,
crazy that you said that. That's what look, my brother's the one that got me in, and this was at the end of 2014. And he said, because he's a sales background, we run teams, we're always the managers in charge. And he was like, look, he said, this is the easiest, most difficult job.
Yep,
and I was like,
100%, 100%.
And I was like, hold up. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, that's all he had to say to me. And he showed me how much he was making.
Yeah.
Got in, I was using, some of you guys out there don't realize that if you come from a sales background, and I mean a sales background to where you're not on just the canvas team, um, nothing like that. I mean that when you get into a spot and you go apply and you're trying to get that position, you go in there and work. If somebody else has it and you're better than them, you got to go in there and work for it. Sales people, okay, a lot of salespeople, you guys don't know, they played sports, they were athletes. There's a competitive nature and edge that we have that that gives us, like the ability to do this. On top of that, when you're being coached, you are able to understand game plans and figure out what works for you and what does not. There's a lot of people out there that struggle with this, and they say, well, how was it easy for you? And it's hard for us, and I can tell Dad Dash is the same. It's easy for us to tell you. It's harder for us to have you get it. You got to get out there and get it, but that's what makes us go. That challenge, that someone, like when I was on Rideshare Audio and they interviewed me and they told me, well, that they asked me, why do you do it like that? And I told them, it's like I'm on a canvas team and I'm going to hit every single house that's there. If I don't hit the house, then I lost money because I did not hit that house. And I said, every house that I did not get, I'm going to keep hitting that house whenever I'm in that area until they give in. I know what they need on this house. They going to let me go ahead and do my presentation because I know I got money in that house. I'm going to keep coming back, and I'm not going to change my game. My business, my personality, my customer service is always going to be right there for them, and it's just going to go ahead, and I'm going to succeed. A lot of people who do this gig work, they don't even have that. So once they see one bad order, they say all the orders are like that from one merchant too. And you know what I mean? And that's not cool right there. That's not cool. And I think that they need to listen to like how you do your show, how you do your videos. I like to watch them. It's like me, I get ready sometimes because sometimes you put a video out before I get going. I listen to you as like I'm in a locker room and I'm about to get going because I like what you say. There's other people that will be like, what's he talking about? Well, chances are you left the job that you did not like and you did not know what you wanted to do next. You know what I mean? You know exactly what you got going on, and it fires me up. There's people out there that don't get that. We need to make sure that they hear more of you and they hear more of people like you, because they don't like me, even though they like me. They don't like you, even though, they like you. But that's a gift, though. The people that don't like us might be the undercovers actually succeeding because they actually listen to us.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, well, I mean, like I said, I mean, my goal out here is just simply to try to help people. And again, like I said, that's why I made all of my sheets that I had to develop. And these are things I didn't make them public until I had used them for months and months and months. So these are things I use every day, and I have public versions of them, which I have. I have been contacted, and there are people out there using them, and the whole suite of them is available because I'm going to actually be putting out a lot. I'm going to do a live where I'm going to tie it all together for people who are using them, people that are, maybe unaware of them and they might happen upon it and see it. But I'm not charging for them because I don't want to charge for them, because to me, like I said, one of my things is gig. One thing I understand is gig workers don't have a whole lot of money. And to me, what I would get out of it is I want to have an opportunity. Like if somebody tells me, like, I think the worst discussion to have is when somebody says, send me a screenshot. That doesn't prove anything. So what I really want to be able to do is if I get people using these and tracking their progress and following the way I tell them to track their progress, which is very easy, and you can do it while I work. But then we can have good conversations and we can share information. And I would love to see somebody, because until we're tracking the same things, we can't really have that conversation. And that's where I come out of the sales environment, where I've got to have trackable data to sit down and talk and say, what is this and what is that? And it's normally something that I can see and say, Well, look at that compared to this. What's going on? And we can have a worthwhile discussion where we can each get benefit out of it and show what we're actually doing out there. And we can diagnose problems. And that's what I want to try to get people to do, because it's really the numbers that we're looking at. Like, they're not it's not the hard thing that many people might think it is, where I see a lot of people say, oh, I can't do that. No, you can do it. And I guarantee you, once you start working towards these metrics, once you're looking at your expense ratio and you're working towards that, and you're understanding that you're working for, you'll be able to understand how much you need to make gross to take home, and organize yourself. Pay money over here to make sure you always keep yourself on the road. These are things you start. If somebody was coming in new, you start that from day one, and then you always know where you're at. You always know whether it's worth it, and you can start making adjustments, adding apps if you need to, or if you don't need to. I mean, and these are things that people can do that would absolutely improve things. And then most importantly, if we get caught upon at some point to have a meaningful discussion with somebody who is interested in seeing things, we can actually bring numbers to them, because the numbers are hidden. They're hidden in the apps. So it's our job to document ourselves and have our numbers and results. And then we can go make a difference and a change and have intelligent discussions with people and say, look, this is what it looks like.
My next question for you, Dad Dash, you are great. Now, what is yours? All right, before you got into this, and what you know now, what would be, before someone said, you know what, I'm going to quit my job and join the gig economy, what would be your advice for them before they even got in? What would be your advice to them?
Well, my advice would be to work on getting 3 apps signed up and ready to go, at least waitlisted on all 3 apps, and then get your first app out and start working it and learning it. And then what I would suggest you do is you try to earn $1,000 with that app before you ever get in. And then and then track everything around that. How fast, how much, in set reasonable times. Like, for instance, if you're still working a job, go out and say, okay, I'm going to earn $1,000 and I want to do it in 4-hour increments. And I want to try to earn $100 every 4 hours. And then evaluate how long it took. Evaluate what it was like. Was it a struggle? Was it hard? How many miles did you have to drive? I have a sheet that I use and have used on that again, I would pass on anybody that was coming in, but I would absolutely, that's what I would recommend, and see how easy it is to earn that first 1,000. And if you earn that first 1,000 and it's easy and you're liking it, then, consider and extrapolate it out and see if you're ready to go. If it wasn't something that was completely easy, figure it out. And see what you need to do to get to earn that second 1,000. See how fast you go. But I would earn the first 1,000 and draw a conclusion. Then verify with the second 1,000. And once you've earned $2,000, okay, and you've got it all down, and you're separating your money, and you're looking, and you're seeing what your net is and what you actually earned out of $1,000, then obviously evaluate that against what you're earning at your W-2 and whether or not you think you can cover it. That's what that's how I would look at it, because the most important thing is that you've got to understand when you're going in what it takes to earn what you need, and then, I saw the comment there with Jeff. Absolutely. Part of that is going to be part of the expenses before you would get set up, make sure you have the appropriate insurances that you need, discuss that with your insurance, but essentially use $1,000 metric as a goal. Because if you say I need to earn $1,000 a week, gross, how much does that actually correspond? And I think what people would find, and that's why it's a good metric to use, because if they're earning $1,000 and they only take home 600 after all their expenses, is that enough for you to quit your job? How well or how good do you feel about it? And that way you at least have a database of knowledge to build off of, and then you can take that and say, okay, this is what I need to do. Because it's very important you figure out, how long are you going to need to work to do what you need to do, and make sure you know what you're getting into, so you don't come out here and, um, realize after you've given up your security. Because the other thing you've got to be willing to do and understand is it's all on you. And if you're not comfortable with that, then don't do it. And I would tread very lightly, especially if you were going to have to be carrying, like, in my situation, I did not come out into this and just jump in and say, I'm taking on all of that. I had that, my health insurance I don't have to worry about. There's various different things that are already taken care of. So when I entered in, I was entering in to earn a certain amount of money that I knew I needed to earn to do this and make this work. So I'm just saying, make sure you understand what you need up front. Make sure you do your research. Make sure you understand what if you're thinking of doing this as a whole thing, what's the cost of health insurance going to be? What's the cost of car insurance going to be? What are you looking at on, and then, go out and figure out what over that to earn $1,000. How much gas did it cost me? How many miles? And assume that those are worst case scenarios. So that's the first 1,000 you ever earned in the gig economy. It's going to be less efficient than probably any other $1,000 you earn. And then again, whatever you learn with that first 1,000, do a second 1,000 and see how it goes. Does it get better or worse? Because I guarantee you, when you start to earn that second 1,000, if it gets worse and it takes longer, you're getting your answers. Don't go. Just make it a part-time deal, and then take as much time as you need. And I would absolutely say that if it was me, I would say 3 months minimum part-time before you decide to do this full-time. That is absolute minimum that I would say.
That's golden.
Work it.
That's golden.
Work it 3 months part-time and assess it. And then if you feel ready, I mean, if you hit every goal and be setting goals for yourself and figuring out, looking at your progress. And if you're feeling good, you go out and you're like, man, this is really good. I got all my apps. Plus, on top of that, what I would recommend you do is learn 3 different apps and spend a month with each app during that 3-month period. And then you can start to learn other things, come out and learn how to ethically multi-app and how to do things that are going to, because, in the end, I would say you would be more likely to get deactivated multi-apping wrong than you would the glitch right now, because you end up with a couple of late orders and contract violations. You end up having to cancel out orders because you can't do them and your completion rate falls. Those are all things that we know will guarantee you to get deactivated, and the algorithm will do it, and it's not even a human doing it. It's it's just the computer saying, hey, this happened and this happened too many times, and now you get to notice that you're deactivated, can't log in, and then you're really in trouble, especially if you gave up consistent income for the gig world. But at the same time too, what I would say for everyone that's going in, you've got to, in my opinion, you are a business, right? And what we were always doing was we were always developing additional sources of business. So part of what you've got to do is you got your earning that you're generating revenue. That's the apps you're working right now. But you've also got to give a little bit of time to finding that next app, learning that next app. Even if you're not going to use it actively, it's there. Because the key to staying in business is not that you're going to work DoorDash forever or Uber forever or whatever. It's having that next thing and anticipating that at some stage in your gig life, you will deal with the deactivation. And you've got to have the next thing ready to go, and ready to rock, and not be behind the 8 ball, because once you're depending on these apps to generate income for you, you've got to have something else ready to roll in. And then you're going to be able to apply all the principles you were doing with the last app and put it into the next app or the next 2 apps or 3 apps. Not to mention that, again, these apps, one day one app might be rolling well. It's always great to be able to pull out the next one and the next one and fire it up. And sometimes you got to have a couple of apps work for you on a given day to hit your goal. And I mean, that's part of what we have to do and evaluate and know when it's time to do that, when one's working for us, when 2 need to work for us. And remember, the apps work for us. So, be ready and always be developing and creating that next opportunity. and have that next opportunity lined up.
Okay, now I know some of this might and some of it might run over, but try not to. And I know you, and trust me, I know you'll be pretty good at this. Try not to
Mhm.
have any of this run over, um, because now we got to separate the drivers who are DoorDash dependent and they are afraid to even do other apps. What would
Mhm.
be your advice for someone who is sitting in that rut, knowing that
Right.
DoorDash is not the app for them in their market? What would be your advice for them to like try to get them to move on to another app or try another app?
Well, first step I would say is sign up for other apps, right? The first step is getting in the door because I hear a lot of people say I'm waitlisted. So get on the wait list. Once you're on the wait list, start slow, right? I mean, you're familiar with DoorDash, so start slow. So start out and say, okay, on 3 days a week, I'm going to do 2 hours of Uber Eats a day and just learn the app and get familiar. And then the rest of the day, I'll continue doing DoorDash because that's what I'm familiar with and that's where I earn a lion's share of my money. And do the same method. Phase it in over 3 months, and transition out. It's just like anything else. You don't want to just lay down DoorDash and go to the next thing. Transition it in, blend it in. And maybe what they may find is their satisfaction with DoorDash may rise when they have another app there helping them out. So at the times DoorDash is slow, they turn on Uber Eats, and Uber Eats fulfills them with a shop or a decent order, and they can go do that. And now that fills the gap. That helps them reach their goal a little faster, gets them off the road a little faster, makes them feel better about their day. And now they're going, okay, this was the missing piece. Or they may say, you know what, I like working Uber Eats, and you know what, this is a better app than DoorDash. I'm laying DoorDash down, and DoorDash will become the app I work when Uber Eats isn't there. And then hopefully, too, when you go through the process of adding that next app, it's kind of like, okay, I'm not scared anymore to add an app. So now challenge yourself to add a third app. And I'm not telling you to have right away turn all these apps on at the same time, but I'm saying just do the same process with that next app and see how that goes. And then suddenly you're starting to develop. Again, every app represents an opportunity. And when you're multi-apping, which I know there's like a lot of connotations because a lot of people think multi-app and they think I got 3 orders in my car. While that is a version of multi-apping and that is a riskier version, that is not what multi-apping technically is. Multi-apping is
I call that dirty apping.
Correct. Yes, that's dirty apping. But multi-apping in its whole is a very smart business move, and that is simply putting all the opportunities in front of you the safest way you can, whether it's all on your phone or maybe you have a Z Fold that have more apps on your phone at a given time, or you might have 1, 2, or 3 phones that you can run the apps on so you can see them coming up. And then it's just simply selecting the best opportunity that you can work at the given moment. So if you got 3 opportunities in front of you and you're not wanting to take the risk of multi-apping or doing orders at the same time, and you look and you say, okay, this order from DoorDash is $11 2 miles, and Uber Eats sent me an $8 for 6 miles, and Grubhub sent me nothing. I'm going to go ahead with DoorDash, and then I'm going to turn off Grubhub, and I'm going to turn off Uber Eats, and then I'm going to turn those back on when I'm in position to start looking at orders again. Whatever it is that works for you, whatever you feel safe with, whatever is the thing, puts it in there. And what I would give, my advice would be is that if you're starting out with a multi-app approach, so you're not taking on too much and getting too stressed out, the last app that gave you it, give them 5 minutes before you turn the other apps on to send you another order. Because sometimes apps, as we know, this app over here, this app, gives you an order. Sometimes they have follow-up orders, or they're sending you to a particular area that they know is going to be busy. So, give that a chance. If no orders come in or no orders that meet your criteria for acceptance come in, power up the next app and then wait a minute on that one to see if anything pops in on that app, and then power up your third app and then see if anything comes in on that. And then if nothing's coming in at all and you're sitting there for a long time, you're getting frustrated, well, maybe it's time to take a break. Maybe it's just not the right moment. Right. Evaluate what time of day it is. But this also comes with knowing your territory, because if you start to keep track of these things and you're logging these things, then you have the ability to go back and kind of start to see when your market's popping, when it's not. And if you're sitting there getting frustrated because no orders are coming in at 3 o'clock, and then you go back and look and say, well, wait a minute, I'm looking back at all, the last 30 days and I'm going into all my sheets. I almost never have an order at 3 o'clock. It's not busy right now. So don't get upset. Go take a break. That's a great time to take a break. Now, if it's supposed to be busy, then you might be thinking to yourself, all right, something's unusual happened. Maybe there's a lot of people out. Maybe I'm sitting in a bad service area. I mean, one of the apps I have on my phone that I do that has helped me a lot is it's a cell phone. It allows me to see my cell phone signal, like how strong my signal is. So when I go park up in a parking lot, the first thing I do is test my signal. And then if it's not strong, I'm moving to where I find the strongest cell phone signal, because I'm not going to sit there and wait with a weak signal, because that is a potential that maybe my phone isn't connected to the network and I'm not seeing the opportunities. And I want to see the opportunities as fast as they come so I can evaluate them and move on to the next one. So that's something that, again, these are all factors that as you get more familiar with your market, with what's going on, with the flow of business, you can start to do that. And then, of course, the extension of all this is, again, if you're sitting in an area where there's three DoorDash markets around you, or 3 places, once you learn one market, you can start to extend into the next market and put that to the test. And then not only develop multiple apps, but multiple markets, and start learning what's best on what day. And again, it's a business approach. But you've got to, the thing that's going to trail behind you, you will never know anything about where you've been at if you don't have the data to review later. That is the footprint in the past that's going to give you, that's going to allow you to make better informed decisions. And that was something that, where I came from, that's the only thing you can do. You're never going to make a perfect decision. The only controllable factor you have is whether or not you're as informed as you can be at the moment you have to make that decision. And that sometimes will be the difference between you being successful and you not being successful. Because if you if you know about issues at this particular restaurant and you still choose to take the order and you end up with a long wait time and you end up there for an hour and you choose to take a $6 order and your completion rate's at 80% and you can't go below it, that's on you. Now, if you understand that restaurant's bad and you knew what the minimum completion rate is, so you wouldn't have hit accept at that moment, so you hit decline. That's an informed decision. And all you're trying to do is make better informed decisions. And that's why I look at like driver utility helper. One of the things I know everybody talks about, accept or decline, but one of the things it does is it collects data. And data which I'm collecting myself, but what I like to do is have several data sets to compare to make sure I'm getting accurate data. Make sure sometimes it misses stuff, sometimes
and I know how the app works all the way in full detail, and it has some really strong pluses because you do a spreadsheet thing like that. John McFall, he does one also, and I do know that the app does that. Now, I want you guys to know out there, remember when Gary Middleton, was upset with me, saying driver utility helper, and he thought I was trying to put it into the ultimate just like bad light. But I'm just letting you guys know he is not upset, because every time he hears me say the app and driver utility helper on the official news channel of the gig world, people, it's still advertisement for him, and it's still going over there. People will still hear it and go over there and check out and see if it may work for them. Always know that. Go ahead.
Now, Robert, I wanted to just make sure you because I know you said this before, and as someone who's an extensive user of the driver utility helper app, one thing to understand is it does not actually interact with the DoorDash servers. It does use what it uses is the accessibility options. You have to turn them on your phone. So when a notification hits your phone, it will pull up the screen and then it will show you. So I know I'd heard you talking about that in one of the videos about the glitch that was saying like you could utilize driver utility helper to go in and handpick. Now you can put in metrics, and then what it does is it will automatically decline or automatically accept. But it doesn't do it like now. Para is kind of operating more similar to what you're talking about, where they're logging in somehow. I don't think they can do it on DoorDash, but they're going in and doing something in the background that's requiring the login to be shared. Like when I use my driver utility helper app, I don't share my login with that app, even though it gives you the option to have automatic login. In other words, like if I logged out, it would just log me in. I don't use that because I use my Samsung phone. It's got all my passwords on it. So they have no access to my DoorDash account. Besides, that's why I heard you talking about that, and I just wanted to make sure, just as somebody who's really used it and uses
app. Well, what I speak about the Duh app is I'm letting people know that it can decline or accept that part right there. If you know how to use that and utilize, and now people, I can't tell you what your intangibles are. I cannot tell you what they are and how you're supposed to be using them. So that's what I'm speaking on there, and I'm gonna just leave it there.
Well, see, what I was going to say is that goes hand in hand with collecting the data. Will give you the ability to go in and you could input those things. But for me, what I found over time is I have I utilize more the decline, but as far as like declining the smaller orders that I know that I just would never work for me. So it just eliminates those out. Auto accept, I used to use that. I thought that was a really cool feature. Now I've kind of turned that off because to me, I'm like, I want to be able to be like, what I figured out is you might get that $12 3-mile order, but if it's going over, like in the one market I work in, 3 miles in one direction, if you're going through downtown and everything, that could be a 20-minute drive. So I got to really evaluate, do I want to go all the way out there? And then when you're out there, you might be out in the middle of an area where you're not going to get any orders. So it's like, I want to be able to really put eyes on it and say, is this making sense at this given moment? And when they just auto accept you, well, now I'm stuck with the order, and now I've either got to use a cancellation, on the app, or I got to go forth with the order. And then, as I've found, which I think is, I've kind of told my kids sometimes it's like when I was growing up, I don't know if you remember the books that you used to be able to, you'd be reading a book and it would tell you decide to go to page 61 or go to page 72 or go to page 84, and wherever you went, the story flowed on. And that's how I kind of look at when you accept an order, everything can change because all of a sudden you're over in this end of the market and now you're subject to orders over there, and you make that decision that moves you over to the end of the market. So by that decision of the driver utility helper app sending me over there, it could crush my night. It could end up putting me out of range for orders that I could have been if I would have said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm taking this smaller order that puts me over here, and I'm still over here. And the next thing you know, LOP order comes through, and my nights. Now, on the flip side of that, of course, it could do the reverse. But that's why I've always said, for me, I turn the auto accept off. And what I really use it for is the auto screenshot, because it helps me while I'm not driving, and then I like to be able to talk to it. That's really one of the biggest features is you can speak to your phone and say decline or accept. And when I'm driving, that's to me like to not have to touch my phone, the screenshot's taken, and then and then it reads the order to me. So I'm not having to take my eyes off the road, especially if I'm driving inner city traffic and I'm bumper to bumper and I don't want to be, you go down and grab your phone, take a screenshot or do something with it, you look up, you're in somebody's bumper. So that's the really valuable stuff that I found in that app that I really use. And then on top of that, it also collects. And this is a big thing, because I remember Richard with Sin Cities had come out with Dash Tracker, although I think they were kind of using it kind of in a different way than what they were promoting it as. But it automatically keeps track of your last 100, so you can see your acceptance rate. And that's what I've been able to do, where I've screenshotted the entire acceptance rate, so I have a record of my last 100 orders. And that's what really helped me to understand how that acceptance rate worked and what it looked like, and how you can see where you're at in the acceptance rate, and let me kind of analyze to say, okay, I'm coming up, especially like in June when I was coming up, I was trying to be a little analytical about it to anticipate what the algorithm was going to try to do for me as I was hitting different tiers. How many orders do I have between me and my next increase? And then seeing what the algorithm was sending me. And one thing I noticed was the algorithm sometimes reacts to that. If you're sitting at 70 and it knows you've got 15 15,
Text me.
the next
No, go
15
ahead.
orders that you accepted, um, it's going to know that, every one of those next 15 orders could lower your acceptance rate. And therefore, what I found is that's going to set up a situation where you're going to see deterioration of the quality of offers that are going to come your way, because they know that you're trying to keep that acceptance rate up. And they know it's going to go down in each one of those situations. And then, of course, the app tells you if it's going to go down or not. So that's used to their advantage. But those are the little things that Driver Utility Helper app can
But those
can
are the
do that are
pros. Those are the
yeah,
pros
yeah,
that you just said. Those are the serious
yeah,
pros for
yeah.
see that you are an advanced person who realize, what someone else might use it for. That will not work for you at all.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Yeah, that will not work for you at all. You gave all of the pros right there, and those are very, very great pros. But just
Well,
like how we have that the glitch that was going on, if you
hmm
know how to, and do some things, it can, especially if you are in a super metro market, it can really
hmm
benefit you if you wanted to go ahead and step on the dark side. You know what I mean? Um,
hmm
it can. So that's what I was, when I was bringing it up, and because here's what a lot of people don't know. I know that there are people using other things out there, and I know what apps are out there that can assist you with those things. So when
Okay.
I'm speaking, it's not designed for a specific person. It's for a whole group of people. If it applies, it applies. If it don't, it'll fly over your head. But there is an aspect there that can be used with. So before all of this Glitchgate stuff came on out, I was
hmm
speaking like, and there were some people that did not really pick up on it. I was speaking in code pretty much. You know what I mean? I was speaking to a certain person who was my tongue was hitting them. My acid
hmm
was hitting them. You know what I mean? And what it did was so many people didn't, I don't got to tell anyone, why I do my things. And some just did not know. So they just jumped on like he's just bashing, bashing, bashing. But you got to understand, people, there's elements involved with everything. And, you know, and when I speak on something, if it is for you, it will be for you. If not, you'll be like, I don't even know what they're talking about. I'm gonna just let it on go. You know what I mean? It was trying to hit on the people who are doing the stuff, kind of like trying
hmm
to get them to slip up and say something accidentally. It
hmm
never happened. It never happened. It never happened until Cherry, the whole Blitzgate thing popped off. And then that gave, now I've been getting emails and stuff from people say, I understand what you were saying now. Some of these same people were people that were tearing me down because they didn't get it. Now they're putting it together like, oh, you can actually be
hmm
Skeletor and not He-Man. You can actually be him. And that's all it was. And that's all it was, because if it was anything else that, like, if I really truly despise of an app or anything, I won't say it out of my mouth at all. You know what I mean? I won't
Right,
even say
right.
say it. I'll just abolish it. I'll just abolish it, so it's not even relevant. You know what I mean? And I know that there are people that like, even the DoorDash revolution, he's used it. He
hmm
downloaded it and all that other stuff.
hmm
And he's the one that told me about the information that you just gave about all of the tracking and
Oh
and
yeah,
all
it's
that
it's a
stuff.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a very it's very good. And then the other thing you can do too is you can I know you were talking about an app that does stuff with restaurants, but there's a good thing you can do on that where you can set it up so that if there's a restaurant you don't want to deal with when it comes through, like if you're going back through your accepts and declines and you see an order that was not a good order or not a good experience, or you've had some experience with it, you can set it up so auto decline occurs when that restaurant pops up. And then it'll just auto decline it automatically. You never have to see that order, and you can set up to delay. So that's something I will use. I always give about a 5 second delay, so I can always make sure I'm looking and seeing what if something's getting declined, what it is. So I always have a chance to look at it. But I mean, there's a lot, in my opinion. I mean, that is a great tool that if you're tracking your information and you're using that, I mean, those are the things that are going to really, I think, potentially put you in a position to where you can really maximize your efficiencies out there by being able to um, make things a little easier, especially on the road, especially if you're using like the voice stuff and all that stuff, um, and then utilizing, making sure, hey, a particular order that's too low, 225, 1 mile, that's just gone. I don't see it. I don't need to look away from the road for it. It just takes care of it for me. So I think there's a lot of value in that part of it. Which again, from my understanding of it and analyzing the terms of service of DoorDash, because it's using accessibility features, the reason why it's not against terms of service of DoorDash is because it's utilizing the same thing as if someone was a blind person working DoorDash. They're using those features. So nothing that it does, anything that if DoorDash said we're going to deactivate someone for using it, then they would essentially be deactivating them for using accessibility features, which would be a big problem. So that's the end around and the carve out in that you're still interacting with the phone. It's just the phone is simplifying that process as if you're somebody who, well, anybody can use their accessibility feature. So it's just like as if you're using the phone and you're just giving it the decision making power. And again, if you're loading in and deciding I'm going to decline every order under $10 and only accept orders over $10, and you have no basis for that, you're not informed on that decision, and that app will do more harm than it will ever do good. So you've got to come informed to use that app, and that is an advanced tool in my opinion. And that app, so that's the way I view that is I would not put that app in a beginner's, the way I look at that app is this, and maybe this isn't the best example. I think of the example. My middle child's a type 1 diabetic, and when we were trying to get an insulin pump for him, the insurance company came back and said, no, you don't get the pump for the first year. You got to get used to how it all works. Do your calculations and do it all. And that's how I kind of would say to somebody getting into gig work. No, you don't get a driver utility helper app or one of these things. You need to learn how to do it on your own first. Get in with what's going on. If you're going to track manually, learn first. Then you can take that tool and apply it in a way that will actually help you. Because, like I said, there is a lot of, if you're not applying it correctly, it could hurt you more than it could help you. Absolutely, 110%. In my opinion. That's just from someone.
Yep, and that's he laid the law down right there. Anyone watching brand new, hopefully you got some information out of there. Now, this is one of my biggest things because I feel that you might be someone that can actually give an answer that some people that might be in a gray area might be able to get into a color area. What is your feel on when people say, well, I want my base pay to be higher? Do you feel that a higher base pay is better than getting a tip? Because there's some people that say, well, I didn't get a tip, but the base pay was high. That doesn't make sense to me because
you're focusing on the wrong. Yeah, they're focusing on the wrong number. Base pay or tip, it doesn't matter. It's the overall payout. So it's overall payout and time spent on order, and then how fast can you get the next order? It's that simple. So base pay doesn't even exist. That's why when they said they can lower base pay, technically yes, to 0. Well, my base pay never gets lower because I'm not going to take an order that doesn't represent a good value to me. And value to me means it's got to have a high enough payout, and I've got to be able to get it done in enough time that it's valuable enough for me to be involved with it. And there's got to be good enough miles to money that it covers all the expenses. So therefore, whether if DoorDash can get me that with paying me zero base pay, I'm going to do it at any given time. What I believe though is that if DoorDash or any of these apps were required to show and share all of the stats, then you would see higher payouts overall. But the biggest thing we have to get people to focus on, that is a very big frustration of mine. I hear people talk about it all the time. And the reality is focus on the overall payout. Focus, and in this case, when you're seeing an order, if you're seeing DoorDash order, focus on the offer. If it's another app that you know gives full payout, focus on the full payout. And your basis of analysis is two things. Where is it leaving me? And how fast do I believe I can get an order next? And how fast do I think I can get this order done? And do those things make sense in relationship to what I'm trying to earn per hour? Because if I'm trying to get my money in 2 hours, then I need to know that I can hit that goal within 2 hours. And if I'm not earning enough per minute while I'm working, you will never reach it. And since you're going to have inevitable downtime, I believe anywhere from probably 70 to 85% of active time, then you've got to be going above and beyond what you need. So if you're thinking, all right, I need $50 in 2 hours, you don't want to calculate that at 25 an hour because you're not going to probably work 120 minutes. You're going to want to calculate it as let's anticipate that you're going to need to get that in, say, 96 minutes. So you've got to calculate what do you need to earn for 96 minutes per minute. And that's what you're going to be looking for the order. I have a calculator that I have given out to a few people, and it's always, again, it's all buried in videos that probably have maybe some less than 100 views, maybe some just over 100 views. But there's a calculator, an order value calculator, to which I explain and have a video, but I would explain it again, how you can use that to utilize, and it will tell you right away. You put in what you want to earn, it gives you the minutes, and all you have to do is put in put in a few pieces of information off of the offer screen, and then it tells you exactly what you're working for, tells you exactly what that order value is going to be. And then if you're using an Android, on DoorDash, you can even very quickly hit the map, and it will tell you, give you a good estimate on drive time. But for me, it's always overall payout. Like, that is the only thing that matters. Like, it's a distraction.
Right.
Base pay, tip, all of it is a distraction. That's why I said, and again, I mean no disrespect to any camp here. It's no value, no trip. If there's no value in that order, I'm not taking it. And the reason why I say that is like the kumbaya of the gig world. Everyone can speak to it because value is in the eye of the beholder. So if I value Top Dasher and a $3 order hits my phone at that particular moment, it's valuable enough for me to take it. And that's my personal value decision. If my value is in earning faster, then I need $10 an order. So if $10, if that's what I've determined I need to get for orders that I'm going to be doing tonight because I have a particular amount of time I want to earn in, that's my value. So it's whatever you value. My thing is we need to be informed enough to understand what is supposed to be valuable. That is the value gap that exists. Many people do not understand how to understand what is valuable to them. They understand what they want, but they don't understand how to define their value. And that is what, to me, is the distraction when we get into all the drama and all the fighting and everything. That, helping people to understand, how do you define value in the gig economy? What do you do to do that? How can you look at it? And it's not by telling someone, like me telling you what's valuable to me is not necessarily helpful. Me telling you how I determine what was valuable to me is helpful. So you can go through that same process and then determine your own value. And that's the whole point of what I'm saying. Like, if I tell you, go out, like if you watch a video of mine and I say, go out and accept $10 orders, $2 a mile, and you take that out, and you might just burn up in your market, not make any money. You might make $20 and you come back and say, Dad, you're an idiot. Why would you say that? Well, that's because I told you. It doesn't mean it didn't work for me. It just means that it didn't work for you where you were at, because our variables are different. And there's always different variables. Nothing is ever the same. So the best thing for me to do for you is say, all right, well, this is how I came to conclude that worked for me. I went out and I did these steps. And then I took that information from those steps And I came to the conclusion that this is what worked for me in my market. This is what my market gave back to me. And this is what I decided to go out and try. And it's still trial and error. I'm still trial. I mean, and to me, that's what you've got to be doing every single day. And that's why I say it's the easiest, hardest job. And some people say, well, that's a lot for you. You're right. It is. And that's where the risk reward ratio comes in, where you say, what's the risk? What's the reward? The risk, and what do I got to put in? And the risk is everything you're putting in. And then the reward is what you're expecting to get out. And if you're not getting what you expect to get out, but you're putting all that in, then you're losing. And if you're losing too much, then that's the sign that you don't need to be here, that you need to find something else. So that's a work. You have to work on that every single day, every single moment. And most people, I don't care. There are people out there that will say, no, that's not, it's irrelevant. Nobody cares about that. Well, I guarantee you, if you're here on YouTube, if you're here watching a video of mine, if you're here talking, if you're here in a chat, if you're here complaining, then you should care because it's important to you, because that's why you're here. So yes, I understand there are millions of people that it's probably not important to, but I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to the people that took the time to go to YouTube. And that tells me right away, psychologically, you took the time to come to YouTube and click in here and start searching and found my video that has something about something. So now you and I are talking, not necessarily live, but we're talking through my video and in the comments. That tells me it's important to you. So therefore, yes, you need to know this. And something's not working for you. So let me tell you what works for me. Go give it a try. Like I said, and my thing is a lot of people do not have the understanding or the knowledge base of how to do these things because they never thought like that. They always had someone else above them doing all this, and then they just came to them with goals that were already made. They never had to make a goal. They never had to understand how to do a goal. They never had to do a smart evaluation on a goal sheet, and they never set up metrics for everybody. They had to come in and they said, okay, this is your goal. This is what I need you to do, and you're going to do that. And you need to do that between X amount of time and X amount of time, between 8 and 4. And this is what you need to get done. And that person never questioned where any of that came from. They just assumed, well, somebody smart somewhere put that together. What they don't understand is when you enter the gig world, you are the one now that has to do all of that. You have to figure out your goal. And what I will tell you is this, is if it all sounds really complicated, it's really not that complicated because it all really boils down to one metric. And that is this: pull up your bank account, look in it and see if you like what's in there. If you don't, you're not doing good. Get out to work. If you like what's in there, then go out. You got some work to do. Figure out how to get it where you need it, and and then if you do like it, that's when you take your day off. You got to get that. Like that's the ultimate metric. Everything you're doing is your bank is getting that bank balance to cover everything you need and more. Cover what you need to save, what you need to spend, what you need to have. That's the end result. Now, all the work you can do around that, what you're going to get in or out of it, is up to you. It's up to you.
Now check this out. That's one thing UDM has, he thinks that no one like you. I don't know. He thinks that he's being hit in a way. And I want to clear the air with UDM. All right. What you just spoke about is one thing that I agree with him on all the way, because if you watch UDM and you listen to what he says, he continuously tells people that, hey, when I see an order and I see the numbers up there, if that order is if that's what it is, I'm taking that. And he has also said that if you are having trouble doing that, maybe you might need to switch and do something else. And this philosophy and understanding is very true and accurate. Now, forget all the other stuff with people. This is what I tell people. You may not like a person all the way, but chances are you're going to learn something from somebody who is, who has some knowledge and some experience in something. You're going to learn. And when he does things like that, how he's breaking down and he says he's a platinum driver, and he's breaking down that at this rating, I get LOP program. When it drops down here, I don't get them. He's explaining people, and he's saying, well, being platinum, I see orders that may not, they may not have the tip that you guys don't want. But what I'm looking at, the total number there, they're
Yep.
still sending that to me right there. And it's going to keep me in that category where I need to be. Instead of feeling like, I'm in batting practice and I ain't never going to step up to the plate. Not one
Mm-hmm.
game. I'm just not even a pinch hit. I ain't even going to
Yep.
pinch hit. You know what I mean? So UDM, I love the way how you explain that. And
Mm-hmm.
that is probably the main thing I agree with you on.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is it's tomato. You know what I mean? I may
Right.
look at it a certain way and I may do it a little bit differently, but all in all, it might end up in the same playing field anyway. You know what I mean?
Well, oh
So,
yeah, absolutely.
but
Well,
UDM, that was
UDM,
for
I
you.
re- I remember when UDM was trying to explain. I mean, he was trying to explain to people about the about, and it's true. When we get an offer on the screen that has a pre-tip, we're still accepting the base pay at whatever it is. So if it's 625 on our screen, we're still accepting, and 225 is the base pay. You're still accepting 225 base pay and telling DoorDash, I'm okay with 225 base pay, and they're giving you the $4 tip. It's no different than when the 225 comes and you go, well, I ain't taking 225. I'm declining that. You're still telling them 225 is okay. So it's what you really should be thinking of is not the tip part. It's I was okay with 625 for this route. That was okay with me. I wasn't okay with 225. Had nothing to do with the tip because I've had 325 offers that have come in when especially in the month of June when I was taking pretty much everything to get my AR up. And I remember having a few 325 offers that ended up having a $1 tip on them. And I was thinking, oh, this is a no tip offer. And it turned out there was a $1 tip. And it was one of them was because it was just I walked in the restaurant, it was a drink. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I mean, it was like 1 mile, 1.4 miles. I'm thinking, I would have probably been harder on this, but $1 tip for this type of an order, I can understand the $1. It's not that bad of a tip. I mean, it's not what I would like, but I got the order done real quick. I walk in, take a drink up, take it to the customer. I'm done with it. It's $3.25 in the bank. Now, as a business practice, am I going to make a habit of going out and focusing on $3.25 orders? No, I think that's a little too low for my business. It doesn't make a difference whether it's a tip or not, because one of the things we have to all understand is whether it's tip or base pay, it all originates with the customer. The money all comes from the customer. So what does it really matter if the customer thinks they're paying a $12 delivery fee, and then they say, okay, well, I'm paying my $12 delivery fee and I'm not leaving a tip, and it's a 2 mile run. So you see $12 for 2 miles and then find out it's all base pay. Is that really a bad thing? No, that's a damn good order for, and it only took you 10 minutes to complete. Does it really matter? It all came from their pocket. Now it's like, when you think about it from that standpoint, it's all coming from the customer. That is a DoorDash game. Tips are a DoorDash game. And it's meant to divide and confuse the drivers out there to get them focused on things that are not what they should be, which is what is the overall payout. It doesn't matter what's tip, doesn't matter what's base pay. Pay us enough to cover the expenses and put money in our pocket and make sure we're making enough money that we need to cover what we need to cover. And that's the only thing that matters. So to me, that's why I said when I've heard the base pay discussions, it's going down a quarter. It ain't going down a quarter for me because I'm not lowering my order acceptance amount down a quarter. I'm still going to accept at the same spot that I am. How is it valuable enough for me to take this order? And if it isn't, I'm passing. And I'm going to find that value and I'm going to figure out how to do it. And if there's a time that, again, as I've said before in some of my videos, you will know the day that value is lost because DoorDash will no longer be working in the gig economy because I won't have been able to meet my goals on a consistent enough basis that I will have to declare a defeat and say, well, guess what? I'm moving on to something else because I can't make my money here anymore. I don't really think that will be the case because I do believe there's going to always be an app. It just may not be DoorDash. It might not be Uber Eats. It might not be Grubhub. There will be an app if I want to do gig work that I can turn my phone on and go earn something. But I need to know how to make the calculations to make sure that my time is being spent in the most valuable way.
I got a
So
good
that's
one
how
for
I'm.
you right now. I got a good one for you. What about the people? And I know you've seen some of these videos. This one
Mhm,
drives me absolutely bananas. All right.
mhm,
When someone says, "Oh, this order sucks. They didn't even tip," and then they'll say something like, "Well, they added 50 cents. At least I got 50 cents of a tip." But then
mhm,
you see these same people saying the person was too cheap. They only tipped me $1. Would like when
mhm,
I see this, when I see someone complaining about $1, but then accept 50 cents, I don't know what to
mhm,
think when I'm watching that person's video. And
mhm,
I'm not going to give any names. You content creators know who you are out there. I've seen it done on many of your channels where you like, oh, it said it was just going to be, like a $5 order, but when I dropped it off, it was a 50 cents because it said plus. I'm a-okay, but before the 50 cents, you were dreading the order, and you were upset by taking the order, but the 50 cents changed your whole mind state on how you were feeling. It was 50 cents. But then you'll
mhm,
get a person that will tip you $1, and you'll say, well, they ordered all this food and tipped me $1. I wanted more. How can you be happy about the 50 and be mad about the dollar?
mhm.
Can you explain that to me? That bugs me.
Well, I think that is what you've pointed out there is a symptom of the way the apps operate, and that is really the gamification and gamification of the apps. In other words, it's triggering as is if you look into the research on these apps, the apps are designed in a way that it's meant to trigger certain areas of the brain and reward systems where the game is what they're really reacting to is like they saw the plus sign and they got this little extra a bit. So to them, that was the payout, that was the reward. Now, if it was just left at $5 or it was like $5 showing $4 and a $1 tip, they'd be like, "Oh, this sucks." It's the manipulation that's the app successfully manipulating and hitting that trigger point to where I can't explain sometimes why I have before favored DoorDash and taken a DoorDash order sometimes when I probably should have turned on another app or looked at another app and just did it because it was like, especially when you see a 625 order come through and you're all you know uh, juiced up and like, man, could be extra tip here, I'll take it. And then Uber Eats sends me an order, that's $8 in 4 miles, and I'm seeing the 625 in 3 miles, and I'm like, I'm gonna take it, and it turns out to be 625. It's like, why did I take that 625? Was because DoorDash. I was looking for that pop that to see DoorDash give me the extra. It didn't matter how much it was, 25 cents, 50 cents, $1. It's just the idea that DoorDash gave me the reward, which was this hidden tip. And it's like, oh, I knew it. I got the hidden tip. And that's what they're playing on. So that it's like the idea where you're getting a not, it's almost in a sense, it is a monetary reward, but it's almost a non-monetary reward because the monetary reward is not big enough to really be consequential. Um, with things. So that's what I would say to that is I think that's more indicative of DoorDash winning, unfortunately, winning over the um, having been successful in in the games it's playing, and essentially getting into that person's head and really getting. I mean, that's just to me that's like a demonstration of just the unreasonableness of what plays out here because DoorDash will take over your mind like that in terms of getting you to make these irrational decisions because you're caught up in the game. That's showing somebody that to me that's just caught up in the game of DoorDash.
Okay. Now, George John, Hulk Smash, John George, he said, I have a question. He says, could DoorDash and any other app, could they have the tip option after the order is completed, if you just like if you were a customer and you went and sat down in a restaurant? He said, if they did that, would it be easier for us drivers to accept orders or decline? Um, you know, like, well, I use Uber Eats, and they give the option to, to tip up to a hour after, or until you actually sign back into the app, you can still go ahead and tip there. They do that. DoorDash, I know in some areas, some markets, they have it so the customers can add tips after. I don't know if it would be easier for drivers to accept if it was like I don't know if it'll be easier, because right now there's drivers that say if there's no tip, I'm not even going, but it's hard to see if there's a tip or not. You're just judging it based upon what you think.
Well, right. Well, here's what I would say to that, though. It will never happen, because that would be the correct way to do this, because the tip is a gratuity and should not factor in to the driver's decision on the payout of the order. It would require, see, you got to remember, DoorDash, Uber, you name it, they're holding back somewhere in the range of 70 to 95% of the fare that would normally go to the driver. That, and they're charging, the way it's working is they're charging that as a fee. And that's the part that I say when I'm talking transparency, I'm saying we should be able to see the nuts and bolts of the transaction. Now, there is, in the fact that neither you nor I could sit in a room and say exactly how DoorDash's pay works or exactly what my pay would be, creates a procedural due process issue that would be in violation of, and every state has has a due process requirement in their constitution. So it's a constitutional issue, which is that we can't articulate how we're being paid, and thereby if we're damaged by that. In other words, if we're entering into a contract to which we cannot articulate and understand how the pay is, we're supposed to be able to consistently understand this. We can't see that, we're being damaged, especially if DoorDash is taking too much. And I think anyone in the world would say that there's no way DoorDash could ever say, hey, what I've given this driver is worth 90% of what we've collected on their behalf. There's no way in the world anyone would ever be able to justify that. But since the driver never sees it, and since DoorDash doesn't call it a fare, they call it base pay. And then they turn around and say, also, by the way, we're going to collect a tip on your behalf as well, and we'll throw that in there. There isn't any negotiation with the apps, even though that's what DoorDash is telling everyone that comes up and starts questioning them on a legislative level or whatever. And the drivers themselves don't even fully understand the fleshed out issue of what's really before them. So as a result, when we start talking, and many of the politicians don't even understand how it's supposed to be. So no one understands how to approach the issue correctly, when the reality is what needs to be happening is DoorDash needs to just simply disclose what is the fair amount that you're telling the customer that's being charged. What are you charging the restaurant? Both of them are essentially agreeing to pass on money to us, even though it's all coming from the customer, but it's both of them are giving us a cut. And then exactly what is that, and put that in front of the driver, and exactly how are the drivers made aware of what in other words, what constitutes a 90% fee, what constitutes a 70% fee, what constitutes a 50% fee. At what point, how does DoorDash justify what they're charging the driver for the services being provided? And exactly, and again, the other side of it is what is it that because the person that's really being charged by mile, by, when you see the base pay structure that DoorDash lists, they say that's for the driver. That's not for the driver. That's what they're charging the restaurant and the customer for. And that's how they're portraying it to them. There's a certain level of difficulty your dasher will face. There's a certain amount of distance. There's a certain amount of duration. Now, unfortunately, because DoorDash doesn't know at the moment that order is accepted, it's hard for them to know for certain what dasher will be where. But that's part of what they're saying is our AI is so advanced that we can actually make predictions that we will have a dasher in a certain vicinity at a certain place. And therein we get into the real lie about the AI. DoorDash's AI is not really worried about that fact as much as they're worried about trying to predict behavior to get the drivers to accept as little as possible and play the games that they do. But a fully running AI software should be making those predictions so that they can then present that out to the customer. The customer sees it, and the driver gets to then see exactly what all of that, exactly what the pay is on the contract. Because a true presentation should say, all right, this is the contract, this is what's been paid, you're getting paid X, 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 all that's been collected on your behalf. We, DoorDash, are taking this amount out for our services, which are as follows: use of the platform, use of the mapping services, securely transacting and transferring your tip, any support that's used, there's a support fee. So you have access to support, and they're actively on your contract while you're there and available to you. And all of that is in charge to you. And then when you give confirmation, that money is immediately transacted and you get your portion of it. But that's the real point that we're supposed to be negotiating. And DoorDash takes it away. And DoorDash hides it behind base pay and calls it base pay and says, well, this is base pay. It's not base pay. That is not base pay. That is the portion of our pay. And they call it base pay because to the customer in the restaurant, it is base pay in the way they're presenting it to them. But to us, it's our fare. It's what they've collected on behalf of our business because we've given them the ability, we've given them the right to negotiate. And in fact, if you look at the Uber Eats, and Uber Eats actually will send an email out with your name on it as the driver, as the one that was responsible for the delivery, anything with it. And then, of course, there's a limited protective insurance policy that protects you for anything that happened on that delivery, just for that span of time. That if that customer calls back and complains, say you hit their mailbox, they're going to go make a claim against that. The reason why you will get temporarily deactivated is not because they don't want you to work for them anymore. It's because you become an insurance liability, because now when they have to go purchase that insurance for you for the next delivery you do for them, it's going to affect your insurability. And that's, again, these are the things that are not fully explained and fleshed out because we immediately take the bait and think about it in terms of employee-employer. And that's what many of Dashers and everyone thinks like, because that's what they're familiar with. So for them, it's like, yeah, I'm going to work for DoorDash. DoorDash giving me my base pay, and there it is. No, there's a lot being hidden. So when we're talking transparency, what you were talking about, I guess, Rideshare Radio, what I've heard from him is he's really focused on the tip transparency. Show me the tip. Show me. No, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. There's a lot more stuff that's got to be discussed. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of ways this thing can be approached. And it's, the full transparency looks a whole heck of a lot different. But it first comes with, again, which is what I was trying to bring attention to. Everyone in unison and every driver out there needs to wake up and understand we are business. We are businesses, whether we like it or not, whether it makes sense or not, whether you want to be or not. You've agreed to that the moment you agree to the TOS for that app. And when you turn that app on, you're re-agreeing every single time. You turn on the Grubhub app, it tells you every time you turn the app on, it's a re-agreement of the most up-to-date TOS, which you can get a hold of. I haven't done Grubhub's TOS, but it's right there in the app every time you sign on. And you're agreeing to all terms and conditions within that TOS every day. It's even worse than DoorDash because DoorDash at least says, okay, here it is, it's dated. Grubhub actually says, we can change it, and it's your responsibility to go pull it up. Now, I think they might make you aware if it changes, but even if they don't, they're saying, no, it's your responsibility to go in and look at that TOS every time you log into Grubhub. And that's written into the Grubhub TOS. So all of these things are, and I'm sure it's the same with other apps too, that when you're logging in and agreeing to take orders, you're agreeing to terms, conditions, and contractual obligations as of that moment, as of that time that you sign in on the app. But this is a very, very important fact that if drivers do not understand that part and don't start to understand that and gain an understanding of that, we're never going to make the progress that we want to make. And that's why I say everybody is well-intentioned, but we end up getting mired in camps, and we end up labeling, and we have no tippers and no trippers and no this and no that. And that is all by design to cause all the confusion, because as long as everybody's hating on each other and fighting with each other and getting ingrained and deciding that they're on this team and you're on that team, and then now you're on this team and I'm on that team, and you and I can't talk. That's where the apps start to win. When we drivers can't talk.
That's where the apps win 1000%, because
Yeah.
what the people don't realize is that first of all, we all do the same job. We
Yep.
all do the same. Well, in principle, pick up, drop off. That's what we all
Yep.
do. How you do
Yep.
everything else in between the pick up and drop off, you got your own little twist. But we are doing the same thing. So when people,
Correct.
like you said, are, well, I can't talk to you because of this and this and that. No, yes, you can. You can speak to someone and not agree with everything, but that main piece that may fit what you need, you can go ahead and talk to that person because it might
Yep.
help you. It might help you.
Yep.
Now, what do you feel about? Because I know Brian said this in one of the lives a couple days ago. I think it was on Eli's. I think on Coach
Mm-hmm.
Eli's. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he was talking about base pay. If it was just a $10, it should be a $10 minimum base pay. My thing about a $10 minimum base pay, like just that by itself, the order like you described for that one
Mm-hmm.
drink that was going just right there,
Right.
why should that be $10 as a base pay? So,
Right.
what do you feel about the $10 base pay being that's what we should have over when there's going to be orders that are like 0.5 miles away, 0.89 miles away, and should that be deserving of a $10 base pay by itself,
No,
especially
because
if you're in the
no.
parking lot?
Well, no, because to me, if it should be a fair system that builds all of that in. Because see, whether it's a drink or it's a $300 sushi order, the mechanics of the distance from where you have to drive is going to be independent of that. Now, you can maybe put in again when you go in and say, okay, there's a $300 sushi order. Maybe it's going to require you to have better bags, and those are the things that really should come into play to say why that's the fallacy of the large order program. It's just another way to divide drivers, because there's really no definable reason why a large order program order is more than others, especially when you're just saying, well, it's just a percentage of the overall bill. That's not reflective of what we're doing. We're doing food delivery. So what that should really be reflective of is time, duration, and how complicated is the order. And complications of the order come into saying, do you have appropriate bags? Do you have a hot bag? Do you have something to put it in? Do you have multiple bags? And those should be the factors that separate you from being able to go and have access to the orders that are better. How experienced are you? How many orders? Those are some of the factors that really should be the separator in there. So to me, just saying, well, we're going to give you $10 to go deliver a drink. That's again the way these apps were originally sold is that the AI was supposed to be a predictive algorithm that was supposed to be making millions of predictions, not to exploit people, but to make and smooth out the delivery process and to be able to create the ability to have food delivery in an area that was said it was impossible. Because what they would have said 10 years ago is, well, how would you know where a driver's at? Most restaurants aren't going to, but DoorDash is saying, no, we can predict exactly where drivers are going to be down to a point that when we're pricing out that order, our algorithm is so good that it's going to know that there will be a driver in X spot at that moment when we want to make the offer and that drink is ready. And if DoorDash loses money on that prediction, it's their job to get a better prediction if they overpay for that. But their job, so to me, what I would say to that is if you're sitting there, DoorDash's algorithm should be responsible enough to ensure that that's the type of order to me that would qualify for a stack. So you wouldn't want to stack food that's got a long wait. You got a drink and you got an order that's almost ready. Well, that way the restaurant says, okay, we've got these two orders, and you walk in and you go, okay, I got to go here and here. That to me is a stackable order, rather than saying, let's stack two orders together where one is ready to go and the other one has a 15-minute prepare time. So the one that's ready to go sits there and waits and gets cold for 15 minutes. or goes in a hot bag, and we just know the quality of the food is not going to be as good if it's sat there for 15 minutes, whether it's in a hot bag or a warmer. And their DoorDash is trying to put those type of stacks together. So what I would say is the algorithm should be learning how to price that out to make it worth the driver's time. But the algorithm isn't doing that. The algorithm is trying to figure out how to exploit the driver and keep as much of the fare of the driver as possible. And that is what is happening right now. That's why they have the tip there, because the tip is money that is meant to cover up the fact that the big money, the big pot of gold, is really the fare that DoorDash has in its possession, Uber has in its possession, and that they are taking and keeping a large amount. And that's where drivers should be in unison getting angry. But instead, what they're doing is the drivers feel it. There's not a driver out here that doesn't feel it. When they feel it, that's what I told my wife when I'm going out. I said, I had to go out here, but when I think about the fact that I know that DoorDash kept, like, there's possibly 30-40% more that I could be making right now, but these apps are keeping it. So they're making me work longer. They're making me work harder. They're making me go out and do these things more. They're taking, I'm taking on all this risk. I'm taking on all this time out, and they're taking that and they're cashing in on me. And that's where, and then the worst part about it is people would say, well, the first argument you're going to hear is, well, Dash, if they're taking all this money, where is it? They're not profitable. They're not profitable because they're reinvesting the money that they're taking into R&D. And what they're doing with their research and development is they're taking the other thing that they're not paying for. The real value is we are also signing away all of our data rights. See, they're collecting data on us that they're not sharing with us, and they're taking that data and they're using it to develop the workforce that will replace us eventually. Now, I can't tell you how long that'll be or when that's coming, but we know it's coming, and we're all giving it to them for free. So not only are they taking our fare, but they're taking the data with us so that when we all finally wake up, if it's long down the road, they're going to have the last laugh when they go, okay, sure, we'll give it all to you now. Because the day they give it to us, and they will, they're going to give it to us when they know we're no longer going to be needing, they're not going to need us. Because then they're going to say, okay. And the reason why the apps, and the other thing that people have to understand too is nothing happens. It's not like they're going to force it. It's going to be a consumer choice. Part of the reason why they don't mind, they're creating the insane DoorDasher that's going to a customer's door and knocking on their door and yelling at them over a tip and saying, hey, $5 for a tip, man, nice house for that. Because guess what? When the consumer is given the choice and says, do you want the crazy DoorDasher human being, or would you want Elmo, the DoorDash bot, to come and just come up to your door and you open it up and you take it out and it's hot and he hops along or rides in his drone back to the restaurant? The consumer's going to go, damn right, I don't want that crazy ass person. And guess what? It's 20% less if you have the Elmo to deliver it versus the driver. And then when DoorDash comes back around and says, you're replacing you, they're going to say, no, we didn't. Just like they're telling us right now, they say, it's not us going to do. We're not the person standing at your front door. They're not representing us. They're representing their own business. We just brought them there. They're going to say the same thing. We didn't fire the Dashers. The consumer's choosing that. It's the consumer's choice. They're the ones. We're giving them a choice every time in the app, and they're just clicking it. We're just responding to what the market wants because they've realized, man, what a great convenience this is, and we don't want to give up the convenience. We don't want to give up. Again, remember, there's also a consumer app on the other side. There's also the restaurants that are becoming dependent on it. There's financing. There's all sorts of things that are going on the back end to hook the consumer, the restaurants, and the stores into the scheme, which then tells them they need this and they want this. And then the person that's going to get eliminated is, again, when they get to have deliveries, they're going to love it because when they eliminate the driver to the customer, there's no tipping. And there's already a little bit of base pay that's going out, to which they can then discount those services, to which they will have the consumer choose to eliminate us. So the apps will never eliminate us. That's not what's coming down the pipe. Now, all of that stops if we get smart, stop fighting with each other over ridiculous things, ask to to have full transparency. Ask in full transparency meaning we get paid our full fare 100%, that we're entitled to. And that doesn't mean DoorDash doesn't get a cut, but it means we get our full fare. And now if they want to go fund our replacements, you're going to do it without taking our money because you're already taking our data. You're getting that for free. And and you're taking our money and you're using that to invest in our own demise. I mean, that's the craziness of all this that people don't see. Now we have choices in it if we can get the right conversations going. And again, you could tie in other things that are, that ways we can do this, but it's as simple as that. Make people understand the arrangement that they have with the customer, with the company, and then just make the company share with us what's already there. The money is already there. The money is already there. DoorDash is not poor. There is billions of dollars coming into the company. It's just a matter of break open the books and follow the money. What do they always say in the movies? Follow the money. And you follow the money, you get your answers. And the money right now is not going in the right direction. And you get the money directed in the right way, and then we can decide, um, where do we go
Now
from
you
there?
spoke about time though. You spoke about time on how the AI is trying to figure out to where the driver is going to be, and then it's hard to figure out the time because of they have to cook and prepare the food. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to be very very difficult, but I do think that they will figure out a way, or at least get as close as possible to figure that time thing out because we know the restaurants, they try to not tell the driver, you get the estimate, they'll go ahead and the driver will be driving over there, but they're not gonna let you know if it's already being prepared while you're driving.
Right.
And when it's ready, they don't do it all the time, specifically if they are backed up. You know what I
Well, yeah,
mean?
but
If
see,
they are backed up, yeah.
but that's what I'm saying is, and I apologize, my earbuds went out. I don't know if how good I'm coming through now, but
Oh, you're all
the
good.
thing the thing is that DoorDash is selling the restaurants and selling everyone on the idea that that's what they're supposed to be good at. The problem is they're really, instead of investing in doing those things well, they're investing instead in how to exploit the driver, how to gamify the app, how to figure out how to add this program or that program. It's really it's a big study in just them trying to learn about our human behavior and test us and see what works, what doesn't. What they really should be testing is testing us, but in different ways. How do we test the restaurants? How do we see how to do this? How can we get more data in and more data sets? In other words, there's been enough time that the algorithm should be smart enough to understand the flow a restaurant has, which I understand what you're saying about, well, the restaurant might not share, but those are the things that it should be developing as more efficient ways to close those gaps. But they're not. They're focused on more or less, to them, they really don't care about all those things, because all they care about at the end game result is when that order closes out, that they get maximum amount of money, and that's it. And for them, they know the restaurants are kind of, the restaurant and the restaurant employees at the base levels, um, they're locked into these contracts. They're locked into the agreements. So they're not really worried about, they know the restaurant needs them. And if they create the scenario where they believe they need it to keep their restaurant going, keep their revenue coming in, then DoorDash is like, I don't, but DoorDash should be figuring all those things out. And that's again, this is the point. Everybody believes that they have to, that you have to, sell DoorDash, or you have to win DoorDash over. But DoorDash should be winning all three parties. It should be winning the customer over for providing them with a smooth, great experience with the technology they're providing. They should be providing the restaurant with cutting edge technology that helps smooth out all of those things. How easy is it to put in a wait time, track this stuff, get it down to a science, and then there should be on the other end, also providing the driver with everything it needs to have the most efficient and smooth delivery and charged at a reasonable rate. And what we really should be doing, the multi-apping experience should absolutely be there, because what we should be having the apps compete for who's able to give us the best value for our dollar that we're giving them, and also at the same time providing us with the most quality orders and payouts. And that's the app we go for. So if Uber's giving me the best value, the
Remember
best
back in the
experience.
day, remember back in the day though,
Mhm.
to go in with that. Remember how we used to go to McDonald's or whatever place it was back in the day, and we used to go in there, and it was like it was for real fast food then, because they'll already have like 15 cheeseburgers already made, Big Macs. You just go in there
Yep.
and they just grab them off. Now, do you
Yep.
think they will ever try to turn back time to make it so that the restaurants, at least the fast food, not the real restaurants, at least the fast food restaurants, do you think they'll ever go back to that just to make it so that the orders can get to the customers fast enough?
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they may, because but I think I know at least, like, it just depends on the fast food restaurant. I know McDonald's has gotten, in my area, has gotten things down to a science as far as packaging up, and getting the orders out the doors. They have some, the McDonald's to do it right have some of my best. I'll go to them even though I used to always shy away from them, especially during busy rush hours. But now they've got special shelving and special areas, and you walk in and everything is right there. So, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think that I think I don't know that it will revert back to that, because I think that I don't think that will be necessary, but maybe. I mean, I guess it just depends. But I think DoorDash or whatever app is in there is going to be expected to ensure that um, in the restaurants, and they're going to expect the restaurants to try to smooth out that process. I think. So I don't think it will go back to that, because I think what you're going to see is the opposite, where you're going to see it become more streamlined, as these restaurants become more dependent on the fast food restaurants, and on the delivery revenue.
All right. Hey man, well people look 3 hours right now. Look, I got Dad Dash on here. I got Dad Dash on Hot Facts. People, I got Dad Dash on Hot Facts. He's about to well, really, he's really close to that 1K. He's close to
Yep,
that
yep,
1K. People, head on over to his channel. Make sure you watch and give him them watch hours.
yes, yes.
Give
That's what I
him them
need. That's
watch
what I need.
hours.
Yeah, the watch
You
hours is going to
give
be
him the watch hours,
the
man.
challenge.
Let me give you a secret on what I did. Um,
Okay.
when I was getting monetized. So
Hmm.
we have smart TVs, right? We got the
Hmm.
Samsung smart TVs in the rooms and
Mhm.
stuff, right? So what I would do is I would go into each room and go to YouTube and then go to my playlist and then
And just
have
play a
all my
playlist.
smart TVs and just play it
A
to
smart
go
idea
ahead and
to get that watch
help my
hours up.
watch
Yep.
hours out. Oh
Yep.
yeah. Oh yeah. When your kids go to sleep, go on their phones. Go turn on their YouTube and go put your stuff on their stuff. Go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead, people. Yeah, that's what I did. Pedro got mad at me when I told him, that's what I do. He said, you're using your kids in your home. Hell
I'd
yeah, I'm
heard.
using my kids in my home. Hell yeah. Get my
I'd heard that.
hours
I'd
up.
heard something about that mentioned, but I'm sure. I know there. I'm pretty certain there's a lot of YouTubers out there that have done stuff similar to that, because you
Man,
know.
you got
Mm,
kids, they got their own devices. It don't matter
yep.
if they
Absolutely.
have an account or it don't matter if they have an account or not. As long as they can watch your video.
Get that watch hours.
As
Yep.
long
Especially
as,
if they're at school.
yeah, just get them watch hours up.
Yeah.
People, that I guess that's what I did for the glitch on YouTube.
Hmm.
I guess I use Glitchgate for YouTube. I'm guilty of that. But Dad Dash, before we always head out of here, I
Hmm.
always give the people a chance so that you can give your last words It can be whatever you want, inspiration, motivation, whatever else it is. Give your final words
Yeah, I
to
would
the
say, I
people
mean, my
out there.
last word would just simply be this. Just remember, you control what you do every day.
Hmm.
And, focus on what you can control. Don't focus on what you can't. You can't, so essentially, you know, um, focus on making the best, most informed decisions that you can make when you're hitting that accept or decline. Because every bad day or bad order started with an accept or decline if you're working gig work. So if you're not liking what you're getting out of it, figure out a way to have a better informed way of doing it, and your results will improve. But I think, to me, one of the biggest fallacies out there is the idea that um, gig work is just simply hitting accept or decline. There's a lot more to it, and I understand. Yes, sometimes you might look at that and say, is the reward for all the work you're going to put into, does it equal out? Well, I don't know. You got to ask that. For me, it's not just the money in my bank account; it's the other things I get to do and have got to do that I wasn't getting to do when I was in my other profession. And it was a choice for me to come and do this, so, that I didn't come here out of distress or come here because I had to find something. I came here because I was looking for the opportunity to be around my family more and still be able to meet the financial goals we need to meet for me to do that and be more involved in the final years of my teenage kids' life before they go into the world. And, for me, that's all valuable. So to me, I'm getting the value out. Like I said, you got to understand what's valuable to you, and go after it. And if you don't like it, figure it out. And as always, just so everybody knows, if you're interested, if you need help tracking sheet, whatever, uh, I have about 7 of them. Just email me dad-13 at gmail.com, and I'll send them to you. Uh, and they're attached in a couple of my videos. Find them, go in, email me. I check my email a couple times a day, and I'll approve it and send it back to you. Uh, and then start using it. And if you want to discuss anything, talk about the sheets, have questions, whatever, just shoot me an email, and we can talk about it. And then if we need to talk, either I can make a video for you, or we can even talk by phone. I got a couple business lines that
Uh-huh.
I can talk to people on. So um, I'm my goal is to try to just help people, and I'm not telling you what to do. My way of helping is always simply me sharing what I do. You take it and do with it what you want. And if you get value out of it, I hope you do. And my ask will always just simply be like, just share with me your experience, how it's working out for you. Anyways, anything you can add to help me. My main currency is information. That's what I'm here for, to figure out as much information as I can so I can make the best, most informed decision every day. So
Woo,
that's what my channel's about. That's what I'm
those were
about.
some
That's what
good
my
ones,
purpose is here. And you know, I guess in
man.
YouTube you do find your way into some drama, but I found my way into a little bit of drama, but I didn't even understand how I got there because I don't have any negative feelings about anyone, and anything I'm sharing is what I would call like a critique, or it might be a criticism, but my opinion is like you and I disagree, like out of disagreement, you got to disagree, or you got to maybe be wrong, uh, in order to be right sometimes. And sometimes it's like, to me, I would rather, I will get more out of a discussion to have two people sit down and not be in agreement. We will make more progress than if you and I agree on everything and we sit down and we're like, okay, well, what do we accomplish? Well, we agree with everything. That's great. So if you're challenging my thinking and I'm challenging your thinking, I guarantee you at the end of the discussion and the end of the day, we'll be better. So to me, I want people that or have a different opinion or a different thing, and I'm not going to try to prove you wrong. I'm just going to try to show you what I'm doing, and then I hope you share with me, and we do it constructively. And there's always something we can take away, and it doesn't have to be. I'm not looking for someone to say you're right, Dad Dash. And I'm not. I'm hoping they're not looking for me to say you're right either. But like, let's share it, and maybe we end up saying that on something. But to me, it's just
That's a
that's what we
sales
need to do
thing there,
more of, and
people.
do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
So
That's a sales thing there. Simply because people, when you're in sales, and
mhm.
there's gonna be a speaker coming in at all the time, a
Yep.
speaker and someone to go ahead and just to go ahead to mix things up, because everyone can learn something from everyone out there. And that's a
Mhm.
sales thing, and that comes with being able to adapt to whatever the situation is at hand and whatever the task is at hand. Now,
Yep.
people, Dad Dash said that he chose this job and to do this. And one of the main reasons with me also, it feels good when you can pick your kids up from school or take
Yep.
them to school, or
Absolutely.
when they have that parent conference meeting when they have to get them
Yep.
all done, with all the
Yep.
kids, and it's at this weird time. You're like, why's my conference at this weird time? There ain't
Yeah,
no
I
way in
know.
the world I'm gonna be able to make that conference at all. So when you're
Yep.
able to have this job, you're able to make a lot of those, and then
Yep.
you find yourself with a little bit extra time. You don't even know what to do. You pick up a hobby.
Yep.
You might start
Yep.
cooking and all this other stuff,
Yep.
and
Yep.
get other things done.
Well, and I think,
Make sure
yeah,
that
I
when
think it also
go
just
ahead.
kind of changes the way you think about life a little bit too. Like what's important to you changes a little bit because you start to realize, by experiencing certain things and seeing certain things, it's like that was always there, but I was not, I was too busy to stop and appreciate it. And that's what I find you end up doing is
Right.
appreciating things that you maybe were too busy to see. Not to say you're not busy doing what we're doing, but I'm saying it's like a different speed. Um, you
Right.
know, it's a
Right.
different speed, and you gotta when you're sitting out in a parking lot or something like that. I mean, you just got a lot more time to just like uh, see things differently, in my opinion.
Yeah. You can see things and dissect things, and
And
if you are a critical thinker
yep,
and a critical problem solver, that when you're in there by yourself, you can actually do those things.
yep,
People, I'm gonna tell you this. These are gonna be my final words. The only one that knows you is you. You are the only one that knows you all the way through. Don't
mhm,
think you're crazy if you're sitting there having a critical conversation in your head with yourself. Sometimes you need to hear yourself say something stupid in order for you to not do it. You know what I
yep,
mean? And
yep,
you need to have that stuff in you. Start thinking about things. Start trying to figure out how to solve problems. And Dad Dash, I want to ask you this because I
mhm.
think you would be the best person I can actually do this with. Would you be willing to every now and then, we'll just role play some things over some of some things that might happen to drivers out there.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I'll say this, I'll be this person, you'll be that
yep,
person, and then
yep,
we'll role play because things
yep.
like that can actually help some of the
Oh,
drivers
absolutely,
out there.
100%. I mean, that's what we did a
So
lot in sales. That's how you got better at your
exactly,
sales presentations, role playing. Absolutely, I agree with. There's a great
exactly.
value in that. Yeah,
Well, people, you heard that. So you will see Hot Facts and Dad Dash doing some role playing. In the future, it's going to be put on to help some of the drivers out. Some drivers are stuck in their areas. Some drivers don't know how to approach the businesses, and and it turns into an attitude. And then there's a beef. You don't get your orders on time and all that other stuff. And we
mhm.
want to make sure that when you go into every establishment, you're handling your business the right way.
Yep,
Business to
yep,
business is what you pretty much put yourself into, also with direct face-to-face marketing. You may not
yep.
realize that, but if you actually started your resume right now, there's probably about 10 things that you can add on your resume right now that
Oh yeah,
you never thought that you're doing. So if
yep,
you're out
yep.
there, if you love this live stream today, um, I didn't get into a couple things, but there's always a live. I can go ahead and bring those in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Dad Dash. We're up
Yeah.
here getting we got Armando's. We got another order right here. We've been hitting right now. It started off at $30 an hour on DoorDash, people, but it dwindled down to about like $26 an hour right now. but my wife is on DoorDash. She's a top dasher by itself. She's a top dasher by way of the shopping program. She's LOP and pizza program. So it's rare that she sees terrible orders. I know we had some earlier. She had two earlier that were just like upside down orders. We didn't take those obviously because her acceptance rate and everything is so high. That's what you have it up there for, so you can decline orders, people. Decline the ones you don't need, accept the ones that you do that will help you eat. Okay.
Yep.
If that's all it is, people, you guys know I love Chuck Woolery and Love Connection. We out of here like Chuck Woolery in 2 and 2. I will see you guys later. Thanks for stopping
See
by,
you
Dad
later.
Dash.
Yep. Bye bye. Thank you. Yep.